The college football experience week 4 preview and picks. As far as our draft as well episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play their fantasy pickup for a chance to win 100 times the amount of money you could enter in NBA, MLB, MMA, NHL, UFL, golf, and more. Sign up today at Underdog Fantasy using that promo code TCESGPN to get a 100% deposit match. We're also brought to you by Naira Bets. Sign up today for a $25 free bet and $200 deposit bonus with the promo code SGPN25. Just go to nairabets.com/SGPN25. And remember, as always, folks, to let it ride.
Hey, what's up, you degenerate gamblers? This is Bill Burr, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride, baby.
Whoa. Yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience. Week 4 preview for 2024. Preview, picks, draft, everything. All in April. What a fuck, or May. It's May 1st. Jesus. I'm all over the place here. YouTube.com/the college experience. Don't forget you can watch this. Hop on over there, hit that like, hit that subscribe as we continue another week of this process. If you haven't been with us over the years, we preview every single top 30 games for every single week, pretty much talk every college football game of the season at one point or another. So we're in the middle of previewing the college football season. Last week was week 3. You can go back, check that episode. Before that, week 2, week 1, week 0. We got it all covered for you. Also, we have the FCS college football experience, which is going conference by conference, breaking down every schedule, just like we have already. So check it out. YouTube.com/the college experience is where they meet. So if you want to watch it, if you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, that's fair. My name is Colby Swigga, Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
And you're nothing but a chameleon, lemon-headed, coward, terrorist pussy. And I'm after you, buddy. You're going to pay for it. Good night.
Sir, we're trying to talk college football and David Thompson just rambling. Yeah. I mean, we got news too. We got a lot of news. We got feuds, Twitter feuds going on. A lot of fun over there. I'm joined by my co-host. Give it up for former JMU Duke defensive back, the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, Patty C in the place to be.
Hi-oh.
Let's get it going, buddy.
Yeah, buddy.
Let's get it going.
Oh, week 4. We're getting into it. You know,
I feel like that lacked energy, Patty C.
Yeah.
I was finishing the beer. I played it a little too tight there. I was chugging the beer, trying to throw the
almost
high.
Got some vomit.
Yeah, almost
vomited. I love that.
Vomit on air would be, there's something we should strive for, though. Let's be honest.
I remember my first Mick Ultra also.
Look, you know what? And drink the heavy stuff in the fall. You got to trim up for the summer here, Nick.
Good point.
We are joined by third man in the booth.
That's right.
We are joined by the third man in the booth, the DFS god himself, still playing ULF DFS. So hop on over, or sorry, UFL, not ULF, UFL DFS. Hop on over there. Give it up for the rooftop IPA drinking, homebrew making, tobacco road living, a free lot giving, farmer, earned the basketball league MVP. Give it up for NC Nick in the place to be.
There we go. What's going on, guys?
That's what's going on.
The vibe is right for a little Bosworth action.
Always right.
I'm hearing it's a little hot over there in North Carolina. Is that right? Or maybe that's just Virginia.
Temperature wise?
Yeah. 91, I heard it was today in at least in the DC area.
Oh, we've been like mid 80s or so. So I mean, yeah, pretty warm, but nothing too crazy.
You bring up 91 in the DC area, you talk about the Washington Redskins Super Bowl with the Ripper. All right. The last time they don't even have a pro team anymore. Yeah. But guys,
the Defenders, come on.
That's true. The DC Defenders. There you go. Get out there, check them out. I wish it was the Feds.
Beer Snake, Lemon Party.
That is true. That is true. Patty C loves a good lemon party.
I say that. You know, if it ain't the Feds, they've done a damn good job of making the Defenders a fun brand. You know, they're trying their best.
Yeah, they are trying their best. Yeah. I wanted to talk about some news before we dove into week 4, because right down the road from Aldi Field there in the UFL, shout out to Channing Brown in the chat. It says, "Good evening, fellas." And shout out to Weehawk. My first pick is in Barrel Strength Stag Bourbon. No Mick Ultra here. That's
a real man.
Yeah.
You know, I do drive. You know, I probably shouldn't say that on air, but there's a little driving that has to be done after this.
Weehawk basically said this to you, Petty C.
Deserve it.
Fired.
But right down the road from Aldi Field.
Aldi?
Is it Aldi Field?
I think it's Audi Field, right?
No, I don't know.
Aldi is the little grocery store.
Yeah. Is it the car company or the grocery store?
I got no fucking idea.
I don't know. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Is it spelled ALDI or AUDI? That's the question.
Doesn't matter. No,
I don't know.
And I couldn't even tell you that answer.
All right, moving on.
It's a soccer stadium, but I mean, it's better than the NFL stadiums out there. But let's go to College Park, Maryland, right down the road, University of Maryland, and Mike Loxley said he needed a little offensive assistance and hired Brian Ferentz as an offensive analyst.
Woo!
Yes,
man.
I mean, I feel like it's time to celebrate.
It's easy to see a tide turn.
Please, Maryland, get done with this bullshit shotgun 5 wide. I feel like Tolio was back there in the shotgun all the time. Bring it back to football. Bring it back to those 91 Redskins with the Washington Hogs. You know what I mean? With Lachey and Grimm and Jacoby.
What if Brian Ferentz goes like 5 out, pass every play? What if like his dad was keeping him under wraps and didn't allow him to? Yeah, he didn't have carte blanche there. You know, what if he just goes crazy?
That would be horrible.
What if he's just a genius that plays to the talent that he has at his disposal, which is what a fucking good coach is supposed to do. You know, Iowa is not renowned for its lightning fast receivers. You know, but Maryland, DC has some speed.
Tim Dwight had some speed.
Okay, that's true. I'm just saying, generally
Charlie
speaking,
Jones, who went to Purdue after.
the cornfields of Iowa don't generate tons of.
That's fair, but
it's a lot of white.
He's an offensive
it's like a 95% white state. Okay,
I'm sure it's really because he's supposedly a great offensive line coach. Maybe that is the angle.
I'm sure it helps.
But you gotta love it.
You know, the irony a little bit. Again, I'm gonna play the race card here. I'm pretty sure this was
with the race card?
An entirely black coaching staff last year. Iowa.
So you're saying it's
I'm just saying it's a little curious.
What are you talking about
minority hire by Maryland. Look,
less than 10 minutes in, it's a new record.
Diversity is a priority at the University of Maryland.
Oh boy!
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
a little funny that Iowa didn't they come under scrutiny for not having a culture. I
don't think that was Ferentz though. That was the DC though, right?
I'm sure as Ferentz though.
Yeah. It was the strength coach.
Responsible for his whole program.
Utah was the DC. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I'm just making a stupid connection there. Yeah. Anyway, do you think it's a good hire?
I mean, he's supposedly great on the offensive line. So hey, he's not the OC.
Right.
He's just gonna sit there and say, I think we should run the ball more. I mean, to be fair, Loxley, you can hire me, and I can tell you the same thing. It's
3rd and 12. Yeah, run it.
Yeah, I wouldn't have any Michelob Ultras either. I would sit there and say, hey, it's a good opportunity to run the ball right here. It's almost like the what's his name, Marty in Major League, where he's like, fly ball caught. They just go to me and I say, I think you should run the ball.
Yeah.
Boom.
Power.
Boom. Yeah.
Power right.
Thought that was interesting. Also, we had the NFL draft. The Michigan Wolverines had the most had the most. And Weehawk brings up that Iowa and Maryland play on November 23rd, the Ferrets Bowl. Let's do it.
Fireworks.
Yeah. But no, I mean Michigan had the most players drafted.
Speaking of power, in Michigan, I read something where apparently Jim Harbaugh said he wants the power play engraved on his gravestone. Jim Harbaugh is the greatest man alive.
He is. Well, he's still. He shouldn't have went to the Chargers because dome football. But I mean, he is great for football. He is reviving old school football.
Yeah. Doing his level best.
But I texted you guys this, and we saw what Texas. So Michigan, Texas, Washington, the top 3 schools in the nation with draft picks. Ironically, 3 out of the 4 playoff teams.
Crazy, huh?
But I think the more shocking thing is Texas is always going to be good at recruiting, so that one fits. But also Texas, if you look at their team, most of their team is transfers. Like most of their roster was transfers. I feel like
good junk.
Like they're starters.
For this upcoming.
No, for last year.
Oh, for last year.
But Michigan was what? If you look at the recruiting composites, the ones relevant that would make sense for this draft would be 2018, 2019. Throw out the COVID year and go 21. Michigan would chart at 22nd in the nation, 8th, 13th. Washington would be 16th, 15th, and 30th.
Yeah,
I think you're seeing that recruiting rankings no longer really matter. Because
I think Harbaugh's always had an eye for talent, though. Like, and apparently maybe Washington did too. So just because.
I mean, you look at the in the college football playoff, the championship game, I believe what you had one of the bigger interceptions of the game was by a guy that transferred from UMass. Also, a guy multiple sacks in that game from Coastal Carolina. So, and Washington, their whole fucking team was transfers. None of obviously the most important guy, Penix, comes over from Indiana.
I think all three receivers were always there, or no? I think at least
one transfer.
Wilson
was Polk a transfer.
Dylan Johnson, the running backs from Mississippi State,
right?
Washington.
Yeah.
But Odunze and McMillan, I think, were always there. I'm not positive about Polk.
I'll give you a little more credit with Michigan. I feel like Michigan was less reliant, but their O-line I thought had some guys from Arizona State, maybe even Virginia, and their defense certainly had a lot of transfers. But Harbaugh did.
Use the transfer portal well, but that's kind of your point, you know, is that
and also Harbaugh did develop well, like more so than Washington. I feel like
Harbaugh did an amazing job, and it took him a long time to create a system that developed players.
Coaching still matters. Okay, I mean, coaching still matters a lot. If it didn't, then Miami would be a playoff contender almost every year.
Yeah.
So yes, talent obviously matters also, but coaching will always matter as long as they play football.
Yeah, well, we'll see if Michigan can continue that. Although I do think that they're probably in pretty good hands. I mean, we see the transition to David Shaw from Harbaugh. It took a long time for that to deteriorate. In fact, you could argue got better under Shaw for a few years before it started to fall off, or at least definitely maintain that super high level for a while. And then Sharon Moore, I think they're in great hands. I think we all are looking at Michigan's schedule and seeing all the teams in the much harder schedule based on the fact they had a cakewalk and they have like 4 or 5 really hard games this year. We're assuming that they're gonna, lose some more with that. But I think Sharon Moore actually is probably a great hire to carry on, even more so than than Shaw was at Stanford.
Yeah, maybe. I think. Well, it's an easier gig to win at than
Stanford. It is, but I think,
I think
Sharon Moore is the prototype coach to coach at Michigan based on what they have traditionally been and what Harbaugh built them back into.
But I don't think Stanford lost as much as Michigan just lost. I mean, Stanford didn't win the national championship. They didn't have a bunch of players leaving early to go pro and stuff. They didn't have as many draft picks as Michigan just had.
12-1 under Harbaugh. They were 12-1. They finished like number 4 in the nation.
I mean, I'd have to go back and see like who came out early, who graduated, who returned. I would venture a guess that Michigan is losing more this
Probably
year
a little
than
bit,
Stanford lost.
Yeah,
probably. Yes.
But then you have the other side of that coin is like if you look at Ohio State, they were number 2 in the recruiting rankings in 2018. I do believe they had a challenging 19. They were 14th and 19. But then you go to 21 and the Buckeyes, I believe, were top 5 as well. I'm waiting for this to load. I didn't have that note prepared, but they only.
Well, it wasn't
they
like
the same
it wasn't like they had a bad season. They were knocking on the door too.
They were number 2 in 21 as well. So
in terms of draft or in terms of final position or final
in
recruiting.
And
okay.
But they only had 4 players drafted, the same as Iowa. Is there any red flags there?
Yes, but Ohio State has no problem producing talent. This year seems like a bit of an anomaly, but maybe there's something that I'm not seeing yet. I haven't really thought about it, but that is a surprising.
Well, they're substantially
stat.
better than Michigan as far as the recruiting rankings.
Yeah.
And Michigan won the national championship. Now I know Ohio State still had a great year, but when you only see 4 players drafted compared to Michigan's big number, you got to wonder at least.
A little
right?
bit.
Yeah.
Little bit.
I think you'd wonder if it was like a trend, like over like 10 years, if it was a larger sample size. You know, we all know recruiting is not an exact science. You're going to have a lot of misses. So you might be onto a little something there, but I only think we can really take away something if it's over a larger amount of years.
Well, I will be on the fact that I do believe the transfer portal is the bigger factor now than recruiting.
I don't know if I think it's the bigger, but it's in the same conversation certainly, where it wasn't at all a few years ago. So I do agree with you.
I even think Ohio State is proof of it. Look what they did this year. They brought in everybody from the portal. They didn't focus as much on recruiting.
Yeah. Game has changed.
Yeah.
In a short period of time.
So,
hello, Dabo. Hello, Dabo. Earth
Yeah.
to Dabo. Are you paying attention?
Well, again, we're going to see if Dabo's approach is sustainable, because I think, player development, like we just said with Harbaugh, he doesn't recruit necessarily at a great clip, but
I'll say this though, if you plan on leaving the ACC for the SEC, you're going to need to use the transfer portal.
Oh yeah.
I think Patty C's kind of secretly rooting for Dabo to succeed with this approach.
Hell yeah,
it's not going to work,
dude. It's obnoxious. How can you root for Harbaugh to win with player development and not root for Dabo too? Unless you just hate Dabo,
well,
which is understandable. But
yeah,
Harbaugh,
I was about to say, I think he's kind of earned it with
Harbaugh is a similar,
we do it different
similarly
here.
like
I'm not rooting.
character.
I'm not rooting for Dabo. I just find it kind of funny that you're secretly rooting for him.
It's not secret. Let's make it public.
Okay,
I am rooting for Dabo. I thought I made it a little bit clear last year when I was like, "Fuck you guys." I think it can work. I think, and especially when a quarterback gets developed there, when his entire team knows the system. Now, let me ask you this. That brings up a good question. When you're doing plug and play, how much does continuity matter?
Well, when every
positions?
team's doing it, except Clemson, I don't think it matters that much.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
I mean, Florida State went undefeated last year. I feel like if you went through all 22 starters, I want to say 21 of them, 20 are transfers.
I think in the trenches, it really matters. I think continuity in the trenches really matters because there's a ton of communication. If you're a dude that's just going to run cover 2 here or cover 2 there, and it's the same thing, and you're out on an island doing your thing, then it probably doesn't matter. You probably don't need to have great communication and chemistry with your teammates. But
I mean, Florida State just had 2 defensive linemen drafted, I think, in the first round or the first 2 rounds with Verse and who's the guy from Western Michigan, Fisk.
And they went in and got Fisk from Western Michigan, and they got a Verse from Albany, the FCS.
Okay, so let me specify that a little more. Offensive line, I think it really matters. Defensive line, you can just be a raw athlete and make a difference and plug and play there a little better,
Then it also comes down to coaching though too, because coaching matters. Trying to bring a bunch of transfers in and get them on the same page quickly. So coaching still matters even if you're bringing in transfers.
Well, and I mean, I don't know if you were making that assumption too. Just in general, I do think it matters to recruit. If you're going to recruit, you recruit offensive line. But I mean, Florida State, if my memory is correct, I thought they went out to UTEP and got their right tackle. They also brought in a Colorado transfer. That's what I'm saying. Their whole fucking team. Everyone says, Dion's team, which obviously had 50 some transfers, but if you put both the last 2 Florida State cycles and then looked at them on the field last year, use all 22 starters. I'm telling you, I think it's 19 or 20.
Well, and here's the other thing: is maybe certain coaches are really good at it and can make it work great, and more power to them. I don't hate them. I don't hate taking advantage of the transfer portal. I just think to say that you can't win with a focus and a priority on player development, I don't like that. I don't like that because player development is kind of what makes the sport.
Player
cool
development
and fun.
does matter, but I think it matters with the players you get in the portal,
which you didn't develop.
Yeah,
It's like, okay.
I mean, I don't know, but
I'm rooting for Dabo.
You look
Fuck
at Florida
you
State
guys.
last year, and by the way, I'm just quickly off the top of my head, I'm just looking at them in the portal. Keon Coleman, Michigan State. Their Gilbert Edmond, a defensive end from South Carolina. Jaheim Bell, who got drafted, tight end, South Carolina. Keandre Jones on the offensive line from Auburn. Jeremiah Byers, this is what I'm talking about. The offensive tackle, 4-star transfer from UTEP. Fentrell Cypress, the corner from Virginia. Casey Roddick, another offensive lineman from Colorado.
Of all places, too,
Yeah.
Florida State's the kind of place that can attract transfers.
Saudi Arabia State.
Saudi Arabia.
But
the S in
yeah.
FSU is Saudi Arabia.
And then the year before they did the same thing with Trey Benson was an Oregon transfer.
Johnny Wilson.
Yeah, the whole fucking team. Tatum Bethune, you know what I mean? Like their whole fucking team was transfers. Micah Pittman, you know what I mean? Like their entire team over the past couple of years has been transfers. Even their quarterback was a Louisville transfer. What's his name? Who got drafted? Jordan Travis. So Louisville.
Was he? I didn't know he started at
Yeah.
Louisville. Oh
Yeah.
wow, I didn't know that. I mean, he
I'm
must
saying,
have transferred
they're
out after his
literally-
freshman year.
Literally, their whole fucking team is transfers. So undefeated season, sort of. Anyway, the portal is going crazy right now.
Squeaked by Clemson. So
Probably should have lost to Clemson.
Probably should have lost. And then
Squeaked by
and
Boston
then-
College.
Yeah, we might be singing
true.
a different tune about Dabo and the
It's true.
necessity for the transfer portal.
It's very true. But when you look at Washington and when you look at Texas, really everyone, I'd say Bama probably had the least amount
It's
of transfers.
clearly working.
Yeah.
You are the anomaly if you are not taking advantage of it. That's for sure.
The transfer portal is still going insane. It opened back up. It's hard to. I want to get started on the previews. It's hard to start previews when you don't know who the fuck's on teams. But we did have some movement over the past, 4 or 5 days or past week. So the transfer portal, you know how it is.
And you know what? I'm jacked about another opportunity. I'm like, let's go. Now, I met with the team. There is no team.
So it's hard for us to. I was thinking about this. I was trying to do projections throughout the week in the Big 12 specifically in this, but in general. So now you no longer have divisions anywhere. You have these gigantic fucking conferences, which we should talk about that in a second because I laughed at the complaints.
Except for the Sun Belt. And is that it?
Because the MAC got rid of it, right?
I think
is it this
so.
year or next year?
I think they got rid of it
the
this
MAC
year.
might be. Is it this year? Okay.
Hold
Not
on, they got rid
positive.
of what?
Divisions.
Divisions. Wow. Yeah.
It might be next year.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Mountain
It's either
West
this
is
year-
done.
They're done. Yes.
ACC, Big 10 done. SEC done.
Yeah.
It might just be the Sun Belt. Maybe the MAC for one more year, but I don't think so.
Yeah. So it makes it harder though to forecast because you're not looking at the two best teams. You're looking at the best schedules with good teams.
Yeah.
And also you have no idea the rosters. So it's even harder, but I did laugh at this week's, they met in Dallas, the playoff committee. They had issues. I don't know if you saw this story. I couldn't help but laugh at this fucking sport. They had issues that, what happens, they did a model where they went through all the last 7-8 years of the top 12 or top 11 in the group of 5. And they said, wait, we got too many fucking rematches. How do we avoid this? And it's going to be harder to avoid because you almost have to give the worst team the group of 5. I'm sorry, the best team the group of 5.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to reward the 5th team and give them, a much harder opponent than.
Well, assuming the other opponent is harder than the group of 5 team.
Yeah.
You're assuming the group of 5 is the weakest.
If that's what their model.
Okay.
Like Liberty this past year.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is probably true.
Well, I just thought this was fucking hilarious. They were saying we have a big problem with rematches. And I just had this quick thought. I go, well, what if we didn't have these gigantic fucking conferences? What if we just had 5 or 6 conferences? And guess what? Then USC wouldn't be playing Michigan or Ohio State almost every year, right? Or Oregon. or you know, and then
it is a
Texas
really
and Oklahoma
weird,
would be in the Big 12.
Yeah.
And then the SEC teams would play, and then you'd have it where they meet for the first time in the playoff, and you don't have a rematch. So shut the fuck up with your bitching. You created this fucking monster bullshit, and now that's your problem. If it's I don't even care. All right, like you're gonna do this to us? Give us the fucking rematch.
If you wanted
then.
to make the NFL, you know, the NFL has tons of rematches in the playoffs. Never a problem.
I just couldn't help but laugh at them saying, "Well, we have a problem with rematches." It's like, okay, well, you were the one that put 18 teams in a fucking conference.
That's fucking.
Hold on, I'm not following here. So, with the 12-team playoff, my assumption, which maybe I should have researched this, was that there's gonna be the top 4 gets a bye, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That's gonna help some of the rematches.
Right.
That saves them a little bit, but let's just run through an example here. Would be that if USC played Penn State in the regular season, but USC plays Ohio State in the Big Ten championship. Ohio State wins, gets that bye. All of a sudden, USC Penn State playing again in the first round of the playoffs.
Well, here's what you do is I think you get rid of the bowl rankings, or I'm sorry, the playoff rankings, and then you do what the NCAA basketball committee does, where they try to.
And they mentioned this, but the problem is the group of 5 team becomes, because technically the 5th ranked team, the first team that didn't make the first 4, you know, or the bye week, should be playing the group of 5. You want to give them the easiest game because they've earned it.
Sure,
but you wouldn't be if you're avoiding these. Rematches essentially. So that's
you would be. You would be giving them, if you're you would be giving them the easiest game, because the 5 team probably isn't playing the.
Well, what happens if a group of 5 is better than that though? What if it's Cincinnati or UCF, where they would have been? That's what I'm saying.
You do like college basketball where you seed it. So instead of maybe a 7 team would play a 9 seed, we'll move 1 to an 8 or something. College basketball does that. College basketball does not want the top seeds to have rematches. So most of the time they try to seed them in other regions. You can play around with the
68
seeding.
68 games though.
Yeah.
This is a 12 team.
I agree that is the, solution to that problem.
Yeah.
But I agree with what Colby said. It's like you have put all these teams playing the teams that are most likely to be in the playoff. You're putting them against each other in the regular season, and then you're expanding the playoff. Of course, there are going to be rematches. Like,
it's
that
unavoidable.
should have been.
And you know what?
Yes.
Who cares? Have a rematch.
Well, that's what I say. So, but to me, it's like, if you're going to say that that's a problem, I'm like, well, you guys did this to yourselves. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? Anyway, and then Brett Yormark, they had a Big 12 thing today with all the coaches there. He did endorse in 2026 a 14-team playoff. He says he wants a bigger NCAA tournament, which he says all the Big 12 coaches are on board by having a bigger NCAA tournament.
It's coming, man.
It's fucking horrible.
They're gonna fucking ruin it.
Well, again, let's clarify here, because a bigger playoff right now, it's 4 out of 130 or 12 out of 133.
No, this year's 12
teams. Yeah. Going to 14, we still think.
134.
You've mentioned before you want 32, which
I think 32 is to me, it's where
which would be a quarter of the teams in college football at this point, right?
Well, you need to especially the more you throw in these conferences where we saw Louisville go to the ACC championship last year. I think all of us would say that Louisville was not the second best team in the ACC. I think Clemson and Florida State were probably the 2 best teams in the ACC last year. Right. But Louisville's path was genius. So you put them in there. So are you really getting, that's 32 cast a big enough net to me where you're actually getting the schedule. When you have 18 team conferences, there's going to be some, we talked about Texas A&M schedule or Missouri's this year. I think that there's tons of value on them to make the playoffs and to have, win a game in the playoffs, because they might even get a bye week because their schedule's so nice in the SEC.
That's true. There is that element that is a differentiator between college football and college basketball. Is like, college football, the limited games in the regular season kind of necessitates a bigger playoff to find out more information. That
especially when you have these gigantic conferences.
Yeah,
that's another thing of throwing this many teams in one conference.
Right,
is one team year by year will get a much easier path than the other team. So you're really putting in the best 12 teams. We don't know. You know what I mean? Like Louisville would have made the playoffs last year, right?
Yeah.
And I love Louisville. I had a future on them. I love Jeff Brown.
But they weren't one of the top.
They were not. They would have got fucked up. So they lost to Florida State's 3rd string quarterback, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, other news, the portal, just want to touch base on some of this shit. The Rutgers Scarlet Knights starting quarterback Gavin Wimsatt hit the portal today. You know why? Because they named the Greek Rifle.
Oh,
Minnesota transfer starting quarterback. Greg Schiano, I thought you might have learned from Dave Aranda. Dave Aranda, remember this? A couple years ago, Dave Aranda, he helped his backup quarterback. He named a starter in spring, and he said, I'm going to help find drones. He helped him find Virginia Tech. Then his starting quarterback tore his ACL or something like week 2, and they were fucking horrible because they didn't have a backup. So Schiano, your boy, the Golden Guido,
goes ahead and names
the Greek Rifle, or aka the Greek pellet gun. Nick likes to say.
I was about to say. I thought we officially switched that nickname.
if he comes walking into Piscataway and makes Wimsatt hit the road, what happens if the pellet gun gets injured though?
Right.
I mean.
So wait, did he already declare him the starter? You're
yes,
saying?
And that's why Wimsatt hit the portal.
I mean, you can find another Gavin Wimsatt. They're probably just playing wide receiver or something.
But Gavin Wimsatt is Kyron Drones. They're the same dude.
I think
you need depth,
Jones
man.
is better.
Sometimes you watch backup quarterbacks come in. I remember it.
Wimsatt is talented. He jumped off screen to me a little bit in terms of his raw ability.
Rushing ability.
Yes, which is what Drones brings to the table too.
I think Drones is the better passer.
Wimsatt was a big time recruit. It was a big time recruit. And speaking of Northeast college football, big time recruit Nick Evers, former top 150 recruit to Oklahoma. He was at Oklahoma. He transferred to Wisconsin to run the air raid. Wisconsin brought in Van Dyke. He thought he was gonna have a chance to start, and he didn't. So now he hit the portal to UConn. Oh, woo. Jimmy Mora. We got Orlovsky 2.0.
I saw Roberson transferred out too. Is that probably right after they brought him in?
Yes, hilarious. This is but
what school did he come from?
Wisconsin technically, but he was at Oklahoma before that.
Okay,
he came into Wisconsin last
year. It's a game
year
of musical chairs.
Yeah.
Colin Schley, he was once a starting quarterback at Kent State with Sean Lewis. Last year was at UCLA. I think played in a couple games. Now he transfers to Virginia Tech to be the backup of Drones. See, you got to be paying attention to backup quarterback. You got to have some backup quarterbacks planned. Right?
Ohio to California to Virginia
to Blacksburg. Let's go.
Man's all over the
place. I mean, a couple ACC schools like Florida State and Duke last year would agree that having a backup quarterback, a good one, is beneficial. Because last year they didn't.
Absolutely huge. That's a great point. I mean, I can remember one of Colorado's best years, 2000, or was it 2002 or 3? We were coming in with a bunch of hype. Our starting quarterback gets out for the year, and then Robert Hodge comes in. And you're like, good God, this is gonna be a tough season. Jeff Sims, he's had a few tough seasons in his day.
He likes to throw the old INT
and fumble, but don't forget the fumble. Don't forget the fumble. Heads to Arizona State, and I'll be honest. You saw Kenny Dillingham's the guy who took Bo Nix out of Auburn. Remember, everyone thought he was a piece of shit at Auburn. Dillingham figured it out.
You're not buying me. You're not selling me.
I like this kid. They lose Rashada to Georgia. By the way, Rashada landed at Georgia. Jaden Rashada.
Yeah.
See, even Georgia using the portal. Jeff Sims goes to Arizona State, and Jacoby Criswell back to North Carolina. So he's at North Carolina. He goes to Fayetteville, Arkansas for a year, then back to Chapel Hill. All right.
Well, there's an opening
Chris
there.
Farley reference.
Drake May was a top 5 draft pick, so there is an opening.
They brought in Lawn Chair Johnson, and now you got a little bout. You got a little depth.
That week 3 spot for JMU at UNC. Looking okay right now. Looking okay. Bob Chesney says we're ahead of schedule. I'm getting excited.
How about running back Damian Martinez leaving Oregon State for Miami? Miami, I mean, this team has like a $30 million roster right now, man. They're buying everybody. Miami, this is a huge year for Cristobal because I think he's like 11-12 or something.
Year 3
as a head coach.
Damn
well,
straight.
I mean, but they bought everybody this offseason. Take a look at their
they're
transfer
not
portal.
patient. They
bought everybody. They are the New York Yankees of college football.
Right. And if you don't produce, he's gone. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge year. Huge year.
This is the flip side of this is if you don't have your system dialed in. See, Norvell, granted, pretty quick learning curve. He, ascended there to make it a system that worked and could bring in those guys and it works fluidly. Miami trying to make those pieces work right away without everything working smoothly. We're gonna see.
I don't
if that
know,
works.
Patty C. It took Mike Norvell a few years at Florida State.
How long has he been there? I feel like what 4 or 5 years now.
I think it's probably year 6. I think
something like
coming
that.
up on year 6.
Silverfish, silver hairs.
Dude, he was on the hot seat 2 years ago. Coming into year 3, he was.
He lost an FCS, Jacksonville State.
Well, that's exactly my point. It took him a while to get it going.
Yeah.
I guess I just said he ascended.
Well, they needed
quickly,
Saudi Arabia State to come in.
Yeah, that helped. It feels like he got it done pretty fast, but I think Mario Cristobal is even on a faster timeline that they're going to be demanding that he win. So the pressure's on for Cristobal.
Well, looking ahead to the week that we're about to preview, week 4, Miami has a very interesting road trip.
Yeah. Hold on. I wanted to touch base on not only Damian Martinez to Miami, Dylan Edwards.
Wait, he went and committed? Damian Martinez?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. They bought everybody, dude.
Huge get.
Dylan Edwards to Kansas State. Penny Boone, who left a Toledo Star running back, went to Louisville for spring. He's at UCF now.
He went on the Bourbon Trail a couple times and was like, all right, I've had enough.
Star wide receiver Jacoby Jones from Ohio. I know we played him in DFS when it came to Maction. He heads to UCF as well. Ohio, you want to talk about just a team depleted in the portal? Oh my God. Take a look at their portal if you have some downtime and yeah.
Well, let me tell you, Eastern Ohio isn't quite flourishing right now, so their NIL is probably lacking a little bit.
Zachary Franklin, he was a guy that left UTSA for $1 million, probably at Ole Miss. He's in the portal again, so some talent out there, man. Bunch of players hitting the portal. It's all fucking insane. I'm trying to cover it the best I can, but honestly, I probably forgot 10,000 players. Anyway, folks, want to tell you that well, you're listening to the College Football Experience, a part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, and it is about playoffs right now. That's right. Tune into the NBA Gambling Podcast and the Hockey Gambling Podcast for episodes to get you locked in on exciting playoff action in the NBA and NHL. Check out both those podcasts. Plus, it's Derby Week on the Sports Gambling Podcast. Tune into, as the guys get ready for the most exciting 2 minutes in sports. Also want to say we're brought to you by Naira. Yes, bet the run of the roses with Naira bets. Score big on the Kentucky Derby with a double dose of rewards. Sign up today for a $25 free bet and $200 deposit bonus with the promo code SGPN25. Join now to claim your $25 free bet and $200 bonus at nairabets.com/SGPN25. All right, so hop on over there. Look, need more? Bet Kentucky Oaks Day with a $30 bonus. Opt in and bet at least $150 each on Belmont at the Big A and Churchill Downs. $30, win or lose. All right. Catch all the Triple Crown action on America's Day at the races. Join now to claim your $25 free bet and $200 deposit bonus at nairabets.com/SGPN25. All right, we are finally at the point on the College Football Experience where we draft. Week 4 is here, sort of. Yeah, Patty C.
Yeah, he felt like shit afterwards.
Oh, I'm sorry. No. You haven't made your pick yet. You are first on the clock as I somehow tried to find this draft music that I can never find. What'd you guys make of the week? Did you guys like the week or not?
It's all right. I mean,
this is the week where conference play begins for most teams, and this is a week where we have a lot of new conference members playing new teams. Some really good, some okay, and some with no interest whatsoever. So it's an interesting week. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a great week. I'd say it's an interesting week.
Shout out to Timothy Green saying this is without a doubt the best betting show on YouTube, bar none. Appreciate you, Timothy.
Cheers, bud.
Yeah, and I will say shout out to the 200 people watching this live. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. The College Football Experience. Also check out the FCS College Football Experience. YouTube.com/the College Experience.
Can we get that graphic up?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Good job, buddy. Good job. Let's go.
All right.
Look at this. Boom. Look at this. YouTube.com/the College Experience. Dundee's been working behind the scenes with these fucking helmets.
Beautiful helmet.
The helmet god over here.
get a quarter chub just looking at that graphic.
Got the slate there for look. We just go through boom, 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 just heat.
Would you guys agree that the slate lacks a little bit of depth?
I would agree.
I thought last week was better than this week.
Week 2 and week 3 definitely better.
Yes,
there are like 4 very good games. I would say even that might be a stretch on this slate, and then after that, there's like a second tier. But anyway, this first game, I'm going with the obvious one. It's not the one that you have put up there as first. It's the most glamorous matchup maybe in all of college football. We have USC traveling to Michigan, and I should have looked this up before, but I don't know when the last time they played in Michigan was. Most of these matchups, I want to say 8 of the 10 times they've ever played.
They've played since 1948. They have never. Oh no, 58 they played in.
They played in Ann Arbor
one time. 1958.
6 of the 8 of the 10 matchups have been in the Rose Bowl. USC 6-2 in those matchups. The only 2 times they played in the regular season were 57 and 58. Michigan got both of those, beating USC by 1. The only time they ever played in the Big House. So, again, the whole mystique of both of these teams. I want to say Michigan number 1, obviously 1,004 wins all time. USC down at number 13 at 875, but I think that's probably been affected by legislation. I think they would have been higher.
In Michigan they do what they normally do, like a noon Eastern kick. Is that
this could be Fox Big Noon?
Oh my god!
Could be a big noon kick. That's going to be brutal on USC
in California time.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
See, here's why it's not.
I imagine it'll be prime time, but
here's why it's not that brutal. Surprisingly, USC has a bye week coming into this game.
Yeah, they'll be in Michigan week early.
Wednesday. Yeah,
early bye.
Either way, 15-0 Michigan. Going to take a step back. USC. Miller Moss.
I think Lincoln Riley's on the hot seat. That's your selling point.
Yeah.
Is, Sherrone Moore does have that game against Texas, so you can't say it's his first biggest game, but it's a big game. And I would say with Lincoln Riley, everything is a big game this season.
Yeah. I think he would be given the pass if he loses this one, but again, this could be something that really helps him if he gets the win. And if he loses all of these type games, then
I think they would lose this game.
USC, yeah. I mean, it's fortunate for them. The weather.
Michigan's physicality is gonna fuck them up, dude.
Most likely, it's not like USC. I mean, they have been soft defensively.
Utah's been owning them for a reason.
Yeah,
Michigan's more like Utah.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe Michigan destroys them. We'll see if Michigan can. A new quarterback. Well, Alex Orji is not known as a passer, but I don't think. Michigan has relied on. I would say even last year, JJ McCarthy wasn't like. His passing was not an essential element of that offense in most games. Didn't they run the ball like 31 times in a row over the course of 2 games and never pass? I forget, there's some ridiculous stat. So
they ran the ball against Penn State like 30 fucking times in a row.
I feel like
awesome.
Michigan is still going to be fine. Apparently Miller Moss didn't play great in the spring game. So
they got the UNLV transfer Mavia coming in too.
Okay, so maybe they get it figured out. USC certainly has tons of talent. Maybe their speed will be too much for Michigan, although Michigan's secondary is stacked. I think it's just fun because of the brands, but I do expect Michigan to get a easy win. Not an easy win, but a convincing win.
Like I said, this is one of the ones we talked about this last week. Like there's a couple matchups like Bama going to Oklahoma or Georgia going to Texas and USC going to Michigan that we wouldn't have gotten in years before. And you say, great, but there are some far more, I think, that are snooze fest later that we'll get to. But yes, this is one of the ones. It's a cool game. I'm glad it's on the schedule. I didn't think it was number 1 though, but Nick, your thoughts on this game?
I do have this number 1. Sometimes it's okay to be TMZ. This is history. This is USC's first ever Big Ten game. Whether you like realignment or not, this is history, and any college football fan has to watch USC at Michigan.
I hear there's rumors on the internets.
Sorry.
No, so this is my number 1 also, and I think you're foolish if you don't have a number 1. So me and Patty C agree.
I had a number 2. It's not like I had it fucking far behind. I'll get to my number 1, but NC Nick, you're on the clock next.
Well, you might not get a chance because I'll probably take it because I think we should all have the same top 2 games, unless you're a hipster, which you are known to be, Colby. So we shall see. It is Tennessee at Oklahoma, like the graphic says.
This is my number one. This is my number one.
Tennessee and Oklahoma are not at the same level as USC Michigan.
Same amount of national championships since '98.
Still, national brands, USC, Michigan is above Tennessee and Oklahoma.
Yes, but also you have Josh Heupel coming back to the place he built and won a national
Michigan and USC since 2008. You are
98.
98.
Yeah.
USC got a share. They got the AP in 2004.
We're doing shares is the Utah. Then we can
we'll say 2.5 versus 2. So
Colby, you always love to say Colorado won a national championship, right?
2 out of 3 polls.
It was a share.
It's
it
Georgia
was a share.
Texas that's sharing it.
Nope, they're both sharing it.
Yeah. And that was back before you even had a fucking you didn't even have BCS then. You know what I mean? At least USC was at BCS. But no, the Heupel against his former team. That to me is the more compelling angle. There is you have Tennessee. If Patty C is going to be correct about this Oklahoma team, I think this is a gigantic game for them. They went incredibly light on the non-con because I think they knew it was going to be a challenge jumping up to the SEC. And this is, and actually the last 2 times they played have been fucking pretty good games if memory serves me correct. I remember Oklahoma should have lost in Neyland, but they pulled a rabbit, pulled it out their ass. And
they had a home and home in 14 and 15 with Oklahoma winning both, but the game in Neyland was very tight.
Yeah, no, they had no business winning that game. They stole that game from Tennessee. But
this is the Levy left me bowl.
And look, I mean, like I said, it's not like Michigan and USC have some rich history here. You know what I mean? So as far as them playing,
it sounds like a
head.
Rose Bowl. It sounds. I mean, the Big Ten and the Pac-12 have had, or Pac-10, whatever you want to say, they do have a rich history together. That sounds like a Rose Bowl game. Tennessee Oklahoma sounds like a very random game.
Really, but I think when you add in the fact that Heupel,
I mean, there's a Heupel angle, but.
They're running Mike Leach.
Michigan,
it says a lot
about that angle.
Michigan versus USC is the most played Rose Bowl matchup of all times.
Okay,
there you go.
Just saying, no more. I had it number 2. I think you can make the argument that Tennessee Oklahoma is on the same level as USC Michigan.
I would say
especially when you add in the coach who fucking won the last championship for Oklahoma is at Tennessee. Could he be Oklahoma's next head coach with Venables potentially going to be on the hot seat?
Wait, who's
Josh Heupel?
Heupel. Oh, yeah.
That
would be interesting
point.
if he went from Tennessee to Oklahoma.
He would do
SEC.
it.
Probably, you would think with his history at Oklahoma, probably.
They have a statue of the guy. Of course he would.
But both teams also have
his job. Yeah. I like it.
Both teams also have hopes for a playoff berth. So that's why I'm playing at number 2 this week, maybe more so than any other week. An obvious number 2, and then you have a drop off.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Timothy Green said, I hate to say it, but Oklahoma will be in Tennessee in a tight game. There you go. They'll beat them in a tight game, he thinks. All right. Well, you guys did play my time.
No, he says they will be in Tennessee. He says they will be in the state of Tennessee.
No, it's in Norman though.
Oh yeah, he's wrong. Okay. It must be a typo. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
Number 3 on my sheet, I guess this week was kind of easy. Normally I just throw up the good games. I kind of just quickly put it together. I think this is probably coming into I know your odds would tell you differently. Your odds, I think, would say Utah, Kansas State or Utah, Arizona. Well, let's not bullshit ourselves. This has Big 12 championship
big time
stakes. Utah heading to Stillwater to take on the mullet and Mike Gundy. All right. Both coaches. And I was thinking about this. I don't know if you saw it. I tweeted this out. It's a good question. So there's not any long tenured coaches really besides Kirk Ferentz, Kyle Whittingham, and Mike Gundy. I was trying to think of a fourth, and the closest I could think of was Dave Clawson. Right. But even he is like, there's a big gap there.
Kirk Ferentz,
Mike Gundy, Kyle Whittingham.
In terms of longest tenured?
I think Whittingham came before Gundy too. So I think it would go Ferentz, Whittingham, Gundy.
They're all right around 20 years though, right?
But my point is who retires first of those 3?
Ferentz, Gundy. Gundy's young. He's a man. He's probably 50.
If there's one that hates the portal though, it might be Gundy.
Yeah, he might get second.
I don't know.
First.
It could be Ferentz. He doesn't use it much.
Yeah. And then
Whittingham.
Gundy's
I
pulled
would-
in a couple quarterbacks via the portal.
That's true.
I would say it's probably between Ferentz and Whittingham just based on age, and I think Ferentz seems older than Whittingham. He might not be, but they both seem just like
I was watching a
grumpy-ass old dudes.
USFL Denver Gold game the other day, and Kyle Whittingham was the linebacker for the Denver Gold.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm gonna say Ferentz calls it quits first. I don't know.
Nick,
though.
who would you bet on to end it
Ferentz.
first?
Ferentz
Yeah,
with his age and with his extremely old school attitude. Not that Whittington doesn't have an old school attitude, but Ferentz is
Whittingham.
I'm sorry, whatever.
Yeah.
Not Jordan Whittington, the wide receiver for Texas.
But look, this is a cool matchup because you're getting both coaches that have been so longly tenured, and I do think it has major implications on the conference. Like I really think this is a game that when we're in November, you're saying, wait, Utah has a tiebreaker against Oklahoma State, or Oklahoma State has a tiebreaker against Utah. I think it will matter in the race.
Well, Oklahoma State was the conference champion last year, right? Or
No, they went to the championship.
Lost to Texas.
Yeah.
10-4, and then Utah figures with Cam Rising back again, and they were what 8-5 last year
with their third string quarterback. Though.
Yeah, they'll jump forward. Are they preseason favorites for the
odds on favorite?
I'm looking at the odds right now, and the odds because I was looking at this a couple days ago. It's really surprising. So both Utah, as far as at least on DraftKings, both Utah and Kansas State plus 350 to win the Big 12. There is 7 teams with better odds than Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is plus 1,300. Teams with better odds to win than Oklahoma State: UCF, Iowa State, Texas Tech. I mean, it's crazy they're getting no love.
How much better odds though? If it's like,
no, he just said though.
Right?
I
mean, there's a plus like Texas Tech plus 950. Which would you rather bet, Patty C? Texas Tech plus 950 to win the Big 12, or Oklahoma State plus 1,300?
Oklahoma State plus 1,300
by far, and that is a big gap. That's a big gap there. And look, believe it or not, this series goes back further than Tennessee, Oklahoma, or USC, Michigan. This goes to 1945, where Oklahoma State went into Salt Lake City and put it on those Utes 45 or 46-6. Nick, your thoughts on this game?
Well, yeah, that was the only game they've ever played. So don't pretend like
I'm saying historically it goes back further.
Yeah. So no, I had this at number 4. I had a game better, a game where they've been playing every year for a very long time, and also 2 teams who might have a chance of winning the ACC. I had that game a notch above this.
Look, hold on. Whoa. You can't tell me NC State's got okay, they've never won the fucking ACC, dude. The Utah and Oklahoma State have a track record of winning top 10 games. You know what I mean? They have a track record over the past 20 years.
If Louisville can make it without divisions in the ACC, then NC State could definitely make it.
But they
year.
still haven't.
Well, but that's only been in existence for 1 year without divisions.
I'm just saying you can't put it on the same. Like Utah has had undefeated seasons. Oklahoma
State and Clemson have played 91 times dating back to 1899.
Yeah,
your game has played once.
What is the series of late between Clemson and NC State though?
NC State's won 2 out of 3.
How many have they won in Clemson though?
Well, none since 2002. They've won as many as Utah's won at Oklahoma State, and vice versa.
Okay, but still, like they haven't been relevant. Like Utah and Oklahoma State are always relevant. Patty, see your thoughts on the game.
I'm with you, Colby. Yeah. I think Utah, Oklahoma State is a better game, more entertaining teams, more close matchup. I think Clemson, I still favor over NC State, even if NC State has gotten it done for the past couple years. I'll give you credit. I don't think there's a huge difference between those 2 games. I think though Utah and Oklahoma State are a more compelling brand matchup than NC State Clemson.
I mean, NC State Clemson pits 2 9-4 teams against each other from last year. And again, I'm not going to give you guys too much grief because I had Utah, Oklahoma State 4th. Yeah. So it's not kind of personal preference here, but give me the teams. Give me the teams who are about to play for the 92nd time.
Before Utah took a snap last season, they were without their starting 2 quarterbacks. No, and their backup. Their backup tore his fucking ACL, so he never even played. They started.
They definitely would have won 10+ games last year with a healthy roster.
Against the Pac-12, no less.
Yeah, who had the second most draft picks? What a year!
Who did the
Pac-12.
entire Pac-12 out of every conference?
Yeah,
Pretty impressive.
SEC, then the
Why is my battery
Pac-12.
dying here?
Makes you
Fuck is going
wonder.
on here?
Makes you wonder. All right. Well, Patty C, I know you're going to plug some shit in, but you need a draft at the same time.
All right. Well, we just talked about it. I'm pulling the trigger. NC State visiting Clemson. Do we think NC State has a legit chance here?
Yes.
I am
don't-
less confident.
it was
than
in
you
It's
are.
not
Raleigh,
the
I would love
Clemson
it.
team from 3 or 4 years ago.
Dude.
They've
We went
they've
over
came
this.
down a notch.
They did not come down that much of a notch. They should have beaten Notre Dame. A lot of their losses were really close. Yes, they did get slapped by Duke. Even that game, the score was deceptive. Everything went wrong for them in that game.
Clemson at home is a force to me. Like, when's the last time NC State had a great road win? Like one that you stands out in your memory. That's to me, NC State's always that team at home. Now, it's correctly played at fourth, but
look,
I'm saying
Clemson at home beat Wake Forest 17-12 last year.
true.
So can NC State make this a close game? Yes.
I did watch the spring game. The club might not be, but
Will Shipley's gone. I think they can probably find a comparably talented player. I don't know. He was pretty good.
It's the fourth best game on here, but I just need NC State to prove to me that they can win against a good team on the road.
Yes, that would be. Now let me ask you this: the ACC, off the top of your head, your expectation for the final standings and the pecking order. Do either of these teams? Do both of these teams have a chance for the ACC championship?
Sure.
Could this determine which team goes to the ACC championship?
Yes, it could, because I think Florida State, Miami, and I will throw Virginia Tech in there because of how light of a schedule it is. All would be to me like the 5 teams. I guess you can't rule Braum out, but the schedule seems a lot harder.
Can't rule North
this year.
Carolina out.
They lost.
I mean, NC State finished third in the standings last year, 1 game behind Louisville. If Louisville played a tougher schedule, NC State could have been playing in the championship game last year. So yes, these two teams are definitely
did beat them 13-10.
These two teams are definitely
2 games behind.
These two teams are definitely in the mix. If there's probably, I'd argue, 6 teams or so in the ACC mix, and these two are definitely one of them.
I'll tell you what: if NC State goes into Clemson and gets it done, then I think this rivalry kind of lights on fire a little bit.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You need some road wins in this. But I love the fact they've been playing since 1899. I do dig that, but at the same time, NC State just got to prove it to me. They've only won twice. They've only won 3 times in the past 20 years against Clemson. So,
but 2 of the last 3.
Yes,
2 of the last 3.
Things are changing.
All right.
The times they are changing.
NC Nick, where are you going here?
All right, so I have one more game, and then I think there's a big drop off. Actually, the Iron Skillet.
And by the way, Weehawk says you're forgetting about the Catamounts are going to upset NC State on opening day. Kerwin Bell, let's go. Subscribe to the FCS College Football Experience.
I love it. But moving on, the Iron Skillet, TCU, SMU.
And remember, this is, you know what? I actually think I agree with you here, even though another game might have higher stakes. But this one, the rivalry is going away this year and next year. The final years, we get it. Unfortunately, they've been playing every fucking year. I feel like
it dates back to 1915. Another storied long rivalry. I mean, what's the proximity between the 2 campuses?
Oh, it's like fucking 10 minutes. They hate each other. The fact they stole Dykes, the fact that Dykes took the job. I know SMU people have been fucking irate about this,
and the fact that now it's Power 4, it's P4.
Yeah,
both teams
confusing why they would make it go away now. Now, it's a non-conference power conference game.
I think they're mad about that. I think they're mad that they're coming in as a Power 5 to steal that area.
Yeah.
So I think all that shit.
Hold
matters.
on to the clout
they got
earned.
George Bush making calls for
It's
them.
easy to see a tide turn.
Now, I favor SMU in this matchup, guys. At home, I favor
It's gonna be.
SMU.
I think it's gonna be very close. I'm very interested in watching this game. I kind of wish they would move it to a weekday, maybe, because then you can really just focus on it. But I think it's gonna be a close game. And I mean, if you favor SMU, it's not by more than a field goal.
I just think right now SMU has the better. They've gone out in the portal and brought in a lot of big. They have really kicked up the spending in the past 24 months. to get prepared for this
Well,
jump.
you have been pretty vocal about calling them fool's gold last year.
True, but my point is like from a talent perspective, I actually think the more talented roster might be SMU as opposed to TCU.
You think in this particular recruiting cycle or transfer cycle, they've done well enough to make a difference?
Dude, they've brought in some big time guys. So I and it's at SMU. I don't know how much that will matter in a game that they're both located.
Matters a little
bit.
It does.
Right?
Yeah.
And I do think if you're an SMU fan, I know we saw some of the stadiums empty, over the years, some of the years, but I do think now that they get the P5 invite, it might bring in, and the fact they've been spending money the way they have.
Oh, I mean, you would think that if that university and that student body is ever excited, it's now. So I would imagine, especially early in the year, what does SMU have before this game? I mean, can they come in here with a little bit of a winning streak? They have Nevada, Houston Christian, BYU at home. I think they're
so great.
Yeah, if they can knock off BYU, then that place is going to be, I think, on fire.
Well, I'm a little bit curious because I just don't know much about it. BYU, Mormons, no alcohol. They're kind of characters. Like their fans are like a character within the scene of America and the college football landscape. They have a unique identity. Methodists, I don't know if that's like the fan base, and maybe it's just people from Dallas, but Methodists seem pretty straight edge. Like I don't know, like what are their fans like? We're gonna see. We're gonna find out.
And Weehawk says TCU off a bye. I think he has it. I think SMU is off a bye.
Maybe both.
No, because TCU has UCF the week before. So SMU setting themselves up nicely to start with a couple games and then get a bye because they play week 0. They play Nevada week 0.
That's right.
And then so they have a bye going in to TCU at home. So potentially,
and Timothy Green saying he thinks SMU is going to pull off the upset. I don't think it'll be an upset though. I'm telling you, I think from if I'm grading the rosters, I think it's pretty fucking even. So the home team would get like a point or two. I don't know.
What are you rooting for?
I'm rooting for SMU. I want SMU to go into fuck you mode for a little bit.
Yeah.
No, I like TCU's I like TCU.
Yeah.
I have connections there, but I just want SMU. I think they're the true wild card in all of this mess. Like even if Clemson and Florida State leave, what if SMU by the time Clemson and Florida State leave, and I know that there's another hearing now in Florida or something, but let's say it's like 3 or 4 years from now.
Yeah.
Can SMU pick up that?
They haven't pumped the brakes on NIL and put a salary cap on it.
SMU is a team that has it's a very interesting team in college.
They seem to have an unlimited amount of money.
Yeah.
I feel like TCU used to be cooler. Like I don't know if it's their newfound success or the coaching change, and maybe SMU will find the same thing in a couple of years once they get to the top level. We're like, all right, you used to be cooler when you were like, G5 or the newcomer to P4.
Well, it does make you dislike him a little bit when you get rid of the guy. Like Gary Patterson we just mentioned Ferentz, Gundy, Whittingham. I feel like Patterson should still be in that bunch, even though Sonny Dykes.
Gary Patterson also is Bud Foster-esque in terms of a super exciting brand of defense. They're a duller brand of football without him there. I mean, Sonny Dykes moved the ball. Offense, but
I like Sonny Dykes.
But
nice
I think
guy.
TCU is more exciting with Patterson at the helm.
All right, I guess it goes back to old Dundee here. And you know what I do every week almost, guys. And I don't think there's a drop off there. I think there is a pretty good. Where the fuck is this soundbite? Anyway, it's my pick, and I can never find this. I mean. I'm gonna have Nick pull up the odds on this again. I'm sorry. I think this one might have like major implications within the conference, and that is Kansas at West Virginia. Like I think Kansas could be a contender to win the Big 12. I think if we see West Virginia the way they played last year, there's a reason to think they could be
without Oklahoma and Texas there. It is not a stretch at
this
all.
All of a sudden becomes a much bigger game than it was, say, a year ago.
If you guys think Oklahoma State was being undervalued, West Virginia plus 2,000. There are 10 teams above West Virginia with better odds. including TCU at plus 1,700. So Kansas is plus 700. So they're the third bet. It goes Utah, Kansas State, then Kansas as far as best chances of winning the Big 12. West Virginia is way down the list, and they're definitely being undervalued after having a nice 9-4 season themselves.
Well, and Garrett Green can only get better. Really, it's what I'm saying. Like you got to think this is like a low key huge game in the conference. I guess every game's huge because every game's like a 50-50 game. But
I'll be lying if I said West Virginia. I completely had a read on what they're doing. I know Neil Brown has had impressive defenses there, you know. But I mean, like you said, Green developing, probably getting better. What does West Virginia do that we can think? Okay,
they've been a good defensive. I mean, they've been a pretty good defensive team under Neil Brown.
Just playing good fundamental football.
Yeah, and the last time they played in Morgantown was 2022 in a crazy game, like a crazy game.
Didn't West Virginia go up earlier than Kansas? Kansas like stormed back, and it was
and then West Virginia stormed back, took it to overtime, and then in overtime it was one of those crazy. The Kobe Bryant had a pick six, where it was like a 13-point overtime win for Kansas.
Yeah, that's right. Like 50-40 or something like that.
So actually, the last two have been within one score, and this is a series that goes back to 1941. Dub V does have an 8-game lead. They've played 12 times. So, Nick, your thoughts?
No, I mean, look, this is the same as like NC State Clemson, but exactly 2 9-4 teams from a year ago. You're right about the Big 12 and how who knows who's going to win. So it is a big game early in the season. I think last year, me and you were both on West Virginia with the over because they were bringing back so many linemen, offensive and defensive linemen. I think they have to revamp and retool those lines a little bit. So while the skill positions are in place, it may take a little while to get that offensive line cohesiveness together. But we
expect both of them to be bowl teams, right? I think.
Bowl teams. Yeah, for sure. So good game.
Yeah, Petty C. Anything else you want to? Your thoughts on it?
I will be interested to see that Daniels is back.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's healthy and he's going against a Neil Brown defense that is maybe rounding into elite form, they've been getting better. Maybe they're taking the next step. Like you said, this could have Big 12 championship implications.
It really could. It really could. I think that's why I had to play it there.
Super lit environment, fun game.
Patty C, it goes back to you, buddy.
Well. I don't think we have to look too far at you don't have it on your screen because you're a fucking front runner here. You're a hater, but we are going to the great state of North Carolina. For a game that could have playoff implications itself for at least one of these teams, not the Power 4 team, but the Group of 5 team, James Madison University, right here on this hat. We'll be visiting the North Carolina Tar Heels.
They'd never beat North Carolina. Come on, don't.
Although they should have fucking beaten them when they fumbled on the goal line a few years back.
Buddy, they lost 56-28 that game. That's NC State you're thinking.
Oh, that was NC State.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're 0-3, and these are the scores: 2016 56-28, 2011 42-10, 2007 37-14. Woo! Tar Heels been kicking that ass.
They move. They are athletic. They have a lit offense. It's hard to keep up with. But look, Bob Chesney says we're ahead of schedule. The spring game was 30-29. It says that we have an offense that
he's quoting the spring game score.
I'm just saying.
What does that
Most
mean?
spring games don't even have a scoreboard.
Yeah, most you pay attention to these spring games, Colby. We have a high scoring offense on both counts.
I do love the game. I love the game there.
Well, look, 11-2.
What, 7th best or 6th best?
Look, there's a little personal flavor here. You have NC State probably as the best game on the slate most weeks, but you have to like bite your tongue and be reasonable with it. I'm not being reasonable this week. You know why I'm not being reasonable with it this week is because I honestly do believe that even though we expect JMU to take a little bit of a step back just based on who they lost, it's kind of plug and play. It has been at JMU. We've put out a bunch of really good quarterbacks. If we can do the same, the schedule's not very hard, and I think UNC is really the UNC and App State are the only two roadblocks that are probably games we're going to be dogs in.
You're losing the Charlotte out the gate, you fucking loser.
You're a fucking idiot.
And you're losing the Gardner Webb. You're going to go 0-3 in North Carolina.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
0-4. 0-4 because
wow.
App's going to get you.
Oh, wow.
Charlotte, Gardner Webb, App, and North Carolina gonna take you down, buddy.
Hey, this guy's getting ready to move to North Carolina. When did you trade your Virginia blood for?
Come on down, Colby.
Nick moved there.
Well,
not you.
no. I was the first Danton, North Carolina.
Is that right?
ECU, buddy.
Oh,
don't forget about that.
I don't think he ever had a mailing address there.
It's all right. He was a scout. He was a pioneer.
He had a couch that he slept on.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a mailing address now. What are you saying? All right.
Got a PO box.
Your thoughts, Nick? You going to this game?
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I am not a JMU fan, but there's a saying around these parts that's it's ABC. Anybody but Carolina. And I might have to don some purple and drive 20 minutes up the road to Chapel Hill, because you know what? The one thing I respect about JMU is that the fans travel. There's going to be a lot of purple in those stands, and that'll make it fun.
We're gonna fucking discuss that fan base. The UVA fans, the whole stadium was purple. Granted, they left when there was an injury time.
I didn't know UVA had fans.
Right. Well, I guess that's part of it.
Hey, when I went to JMU at App State, I was impressed by the James Madison turnout in Boone. So they'll definitely be in Chapel Hill.
Oh,
we can make that trip. We can go one state over.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Folks, before we get to the next pick, I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. The NBA playoffs are here, and our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy, wants to make it a lot more interesting. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Play in their pick'em game is as simple as selecting higher or lower on player stats like points, rebounds, assists, and much, much more. And make entries of all basketball players if you want, or you can mix and match across other sports. You want you want Adrian Martinez in the ULF. Jump on that. UFL. Geez. UFL. Or you want I don't know. Do you want the MLB? You want to do NHL? You get whatever. You can take a UFC fighter. All right. You can bounce it all across. That's what makes it awesome about it. Underdog's available in 30 different states, California, Texas, even the great country of Canada. Subscribe to the CFL Gambling Podcast. But yeah, check out Underdog Fantasy. I really believe they have I use it pretty much daily. So hop on over there. Make sure you sign up. Sign up with the promo code TCE SGPN. Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code TCE SGPN. Weehawk, correct. I did get married in North Carolina. See, there's a lot of reasons. Nick didn't get married in North Carolina.
I was going to say, and I actually didn't.
and our other sibling didn't. So look, a lot of bullshit. A lot
of
bullshit out
North
there.
Carolina
That's what I'm saying, right? Let's jump down to
NC Colby. That's your new nickname.
Yeah. NC Colby, NC Dundee. NC Nick, where are you taking us?
So now there's a drop off. I'm gonna say that after every time. You know what? I kind of alluded to this game earlier when we were talking about Miami. I think it's interesting, and I think anybody can go in any direction right here. So I'm gonna go Miami at South Florida at USF. These teams haven't played much, only 6 ever matchups, and they haven't played in 11 years, but it's an in-state showdown. And the great thing I like about Miami's schedule this year is 3 of their 4 out-of-conference games are versus, in-state opponents. They play Florida, FAMU, and USF. Plus, obviously, they get Florida State in an in-conference game. So a quarter of their schedule is against Florida teams. And we just mentioned how big of a year it is for Miami, year 3 crystal ball. Don't drop this game on the road against an improving, UCF Bull squad.
I know we shit on, South Florida. Shout out to them. They're getting a stadium built on campus. I think they've already started it, but we shit on the fact that they're at an NFL stadium because it sucks. And it's like 20 or 30 minutes away from campus. But I actually think South Florida fans will be at this one because the shit talking rights, you know what I mean? So I actually think this is one we can count on a good environment. I love it. I like this game. I think I'm okay with it being played here. Petty,
I think they should trot out Matt Grothe and George Selvey,
Jim
Leavitt, and some of those teams from like the mid 2000s when really they put USF on the map, and bring back some fucking, momentum here.
Dude,
Come on,
they
some
used
excitement.
to have a good crowd with Levitt. All
They
right?
did.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he chokes a player, you fire him, get out of here.
Yeah, had you at
All right?
number 2.
Yeah.
Deal with it. You have to
So
deal with
say
some
you're
of
not-
these
You want
things.
to be number 2 in the nation, you deal with the choke. All right. Patty C, your
Byron
thoughts?
Brown, Cameron
Alex
Ward.
Galesh.
Yep, Alex Galesh. I think Galesh is probably the better coach than Cristobal. Cristobal maybe the better recruiter. But Byron Brown and Cameron Ward, we're going to have a dynamite at the quarterback position on both sides of the ball. It's going to be a fun game. I definitely think South Florida will pack out that stadium. And I think Miami fans are able to travel from Miami to Tampa. I think they're capable.
What, 12 of them?
Yeah, that's true. If they can't get to
That's what I'm saying. They can't get to Coral
Tropicana Field,
Gables.
right?
Yeah, wherever the fuck their stadium is now.
They're not going to Tampa.
That's true. Probably not.
I do like that game.
Maybe it's a huge home field advantage. I mean, if Alabama can struggle at old whatever the fuck that stadium is,
Raymond James
Stadium.
wannabe sombrero.
That's right. Maybe Miami will too.
Shout out to Timothy Green saying, Colby, I have a question. Are you a dad? I am a dad. Back January 31st, man. January 31st became a dad. And
look at that.
Happy 3 months.
Yeah, White Tiger has watched several.
White
legit-
Tiger is fast tracking toward, basically brohood by the age of 2.
He's watched a lot of hardcore action films, and he's also watched a good amount of 80s football. So,
There's already odds on whether he's going to take my job or Patty's job on this podcast.
Yes.
We'll see what happens.
He's going to be like 6, just spitting in the new database.
I did get him a Sammy Ball jersey too. So anyway, it jumps over to Dundee. There's I've made all Big 12 plays so far. To go
what else
off
is
the
new?
Why would I go away from it now?
Just quick to update the list. What was our last pick? Was that mine or
Miami at South Florida,
Miami at South Florida.
For Nick.
Boom. All right.
No. You think I'm just gonna let this one off the hook? There's something I love about this game on the schedule. Because my East Carolina Pirates are heading down to up to Lynchburg, Virginia to take on the Flaming Libs
Man,
of Liberty.
We're reaching.
No, this game's
I like
awesome.
it.
This game is awesome. I think there's just, to me, everyone's talking Jamie Chadwell, undefeated regular season. Mike Houston knows about winning games in Virginia, the great state of Virginia. And he's going into your Falwell House of Glory. You bastard. He's jerking off in the corner watching. All right.
House of Glory holes.
East Carolina gets it done. Upset alert against these Flaming Libs. All right, Patty C, your thoughts on this game?
I mean, I feel like it hasn't been that long since ECU was a winning team, right? Was
2 years ago.
2 years.
8 games. Yeah.
8-5, and then last year just
Dude,
plummeted to 10-2.
I was actually looking at this. I was arguing late into the wee hours last night. Let's talk about this for a second here. I don't know that we want to just quit on Mike. Mike Houston bothers me in certain ways here, but you look at last season, 2-10. You played the Michigan Wolverines as one of your games, but
played them decently well,
dude. If you really look at it, 7-point loss to Rice, 3-point loss to Charlotte.
those aren't good losses.
3-point loss to Tulane, right?
That's respectable.
Like 2-point loss to Tulsa. I'm just saying they had a shit ton of close games. Even the App State game, App State opened that thing up really late. The Marshall game is unbelievable because ECU had a 13-10 lead in the fourth quarter.
What was the final?
31-13. Remember we were watching here multiple pick sixes to end the game. So they are a lot closer, I think, than people realize. That's why I've seen some people talk about them. The biggest change from win total last year to this year, ECU I saw charted at number 1.
What was their what are they expected at to hit?
Well, no, wait, that's not out yet. But the AAC
going
win
from
totals.
2, I would think they probably get back.
Well, I'm just saying they were
bowling
in
territory.
a lot of these fucking games. You know what I mean? Like the only game I'd say they truly got their ass whooped in was, and I don't even know if I would say the SMU game. I would say UTSA, even though its final score was 14. The SMU game was a lot like the Marshall game, where it's like they stacked on points late.
Well, they had awful quarterback play, and Patty C. As much as you'd like to, talk shit about Holden Ahlers and his mechanics, He was sorely missed last year.
That was apparent for sure.
And he's a pro football player.
Yeah, I was wrong about him.
Yeah.
And with the 2 transfers they're bringing in, Garcia and what's that guy's name from Michigan State? Hauser. I mean, not that those guys have been great elsewhere, but they should be better than what they had last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I love this game. And, one of the main things for first ever matchup, but really the culture clash.
Yes.
Liberty is a dry campus. Nobody drinks. Nobody has sex. ECU, a little bit different.
Yeah, I do like this. And Weehawk, I'm about to block you on this thing. He goes, Weehawk goes, maybe the last North Carolina State big road win was ECU with no
kicker. 2 years ago.
Fucking bullshit game.
Good call, Weehawk.
That one was a brutal
That's
one.
why I hate Mike Houston. Is I feel like he's always terrible on special teams. Block punt for a touchdown.
It's a
3 missed field goals.
For
a missed extra point. It's just like.
And you would think like a really good head coach who believes in like building a program and like building players, like special teams is like an easy thing. Not an easy thing, but it's a thing that style of coach should master.
You're right. Yeah. He's Kirk Ferentz-esque in his commitment to like winning in the trenches a little bit. And usually with that comes good special teams.
But it's been horrible.
It has been tough on him. I think Liberty was proven to be fool's gold a little bit last year, although Caden Salter back, right? Or did he
is back. He is back. He hit the portal, but the NIL collective. Falwell said, "No, you stay here. Fuck my wife. I'll jerk off in the corner. All right, here's $1 million."
But right? Guys, another prime candidate for a weekday game. Please move it to the weekday.
Yes, they should. They should. But either way, this place will be.
I think ECU's a live dog, and even if they're not, just the fan clash and the culture clash is fun.
It's fantastic.
Again, a lot of purple will be in that crowd too. But
that's right.
But Liberty does pack the house.
They do. They do it. Actually, I don't know how much purple will be there, knowing it's a dry campus.
Yeah.
They're gonna be like, dude, let's take this week off.
It's not going to be a dry campus when ECU shows up.
That's true. Airport bottles will be in that
police
fucking
better
stadium.
Be in force.
All right. Patty C, it jumps back to you.
Well, gosh, I don't know. There is I guess I don't know if the drop off already happened, but it's a little tough to pick one here. But I'm going to go to a game that we were at, not 2-3 years ago, one that got Colby 86 from the Rose Bowl.
That's right.
This was UCLA hosting LSU a couple years back. Now they go back to Baton Rouge to face the Tigers.
They saw me doing shots of whiskey, right? And they said, "Whoa! That's not a Chardonnay. Right? You don't got a Zinfandel or something? What's going on?
Out of here!
Yeah, you're doing whiskey, right?
A little too rough for the Rose Bowl."
I feel like everybody's kind of like beating around the bush, but nobody's told the exact story. Like Patty's talked about it a little bit. I've heard Sean and Kramer like touch on it, but nobody's really came out
Colby
with
was
a full explanation.
Colby was a fucking menace.
They got an ECU fan. They invited an ECU fan to the Rose Bowl, and they don't like ECU fans.
Colby
got
Rose kicked out like early in the third quarter.
And then I went and had drinks.
He had
with a bunch of Mexicans. I was invited
everyone's
by this
ass out by like the second quarter.
Oh man. They've played one time ever. UCLA did win that game 38-27. But UCLA, you want to talk about, I think they're going to be bad this year personally. We'll see. Deshaun Foster, I wish him the best, but this could be an ass whooping with Nussmeier back at quarterback.
Absolutely.
For LSU,
especially like in Death Valley. I'm not sure if UCLA is competitive.
Well, how often we pulled up the stats about SEC teams struggling when they would go out to Pac-12 country. How often do Pac-12 teams go into the SEC?
Well, they actually, I think, have played. I don't think they've had a great track record of winning, but Cal won at Ole Miss a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But you had some really close games. Oregon State should have beat LSU back in the day. Their kicker missed a bunch. It was almost like ECU, NC State.
Right.
Washington State played Auburn, tough at Auburn. But I do think Bama's fucked up a couple.
Yeah.
But
really,
Oregon got Tennessee also. Yeah.
To Weehawk's point, Colby, you went to the wrong game. You should have went to this game because those actions at LSU, that's like par for the course. Like you would have been
right. You're a pussy at LSU.
You would have been well behaved for LSU standards.
This actually might have been the same year I went. No, I think it was the year before this. I was in Baton Rouge, getting pissed drunk at a Mississippi State LSU game in Baton Rouge, and I can tell you, I was more obnoxious in Baton Rouge, and I fit in fine. All right. So yeah, I've seen them both. That was like in like a 10-month window.
Yeah.
I did get to experience both.
I have two very reliable and respected sources when it comes to fan obnoxiousness that has told me. I mean, not that LSU's been obnoxious, but that it is a fucking intense environment. To watch a football game. Obviously,
but
that's its
even
reputation.
like the tailgating, you're super drunk. It actually reminds me of ECU in a lot of ways. Like LSU and ECU would be fast friends.
It's just LSU's the bigger ECU.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. But I'm saying tailgating. I'm not saying obviously the stadium is much more gigantic. But yeah. Anyway, NC Nick, your thoughts on UCLA at LSU?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's well played here. I mean, really, like this is the point of this week where it kind of drops off. I don't know how competitive the game will be, but it's still like a kind of a premier matchup. UCLA won, a couple years ago at home, 38-27. So this is the bring back from that game, the home and home. So it's a fine game, but I wouldn't be surprised if LSU wins by double digits.
Is this the first Big Ten SEC matchup of the season, or we probably had at least one or two of those up to this point?
LSU, USC in week 1.
That's true.
Yeah.
Texas, Michigan.
Yeah, there's a few out there. There is a few out there. Look, folks, if you're watching on YouTube, stay put. We're just going to jump right into it from the audio side. Make sure you check out the B side of things where things get loose. But also subscribe to the College Football Experience because all season we're breaking down every single game. We're going to go through every single team, all 134 FBS teams, and also we have the FCS College Football Experience. Subscribe to both, and you better start thinking about yours. And we out of here. All right, we are back on the B side of the College Football Experience Week 4 preview. Patty C had just previously played UCLA at LSU. Go check out our other picks, and we also talked a lot about the transfer portal, a couple coaching hires, and the 12-team college football playoff at the beginning of the episode. So go check that out. NC Nick, you are on the clock. Where are you taking us?
First, shout out to Figure It Out in the chat, who's dropping some of his favorite games. I'm not going to go any of those. We already played WVU Kansas, but I'm not going to play the other two. You guys are playing your G5 games. I'm going to play mine. And especially if I see App State playing a weekday game, sign me up. South Alabama at App State Thursday night. These two teams have been, one of the best in the East, one of the best in the West. I mean, there's no reason why this isn't a fun game Thursday night by itself. I mean, what are you going to do? Watch the NFL? No, you're going to watch Sunbelt, baby.
Better.
Weeknight Nick strikes again.
Even though App State's got a 4-1 all-time series lead against South Alabama, they
make
will
it
be coming.
5-1.
Well, and they will be coming off a loss in Greenville. So they have to have. It's a statement game.
If I can, Colby, this is probably a good time to show what just showed up in the mail today.
Oh, look at this! Look at this over here. Look at that. Hold on, Nick. Hang that there. I'm going to zoom out of this for a second. Hang on. We're going to go back to this. Show it. Get it in there. Boom. Look at that. Armani Edwards against Michigan.
That is fucking
That
gorgeous.
is fire. That's
Look
that
at the
play.
attention
Yeah.
to detail in the face mask.
There
Fucking
you go.
beautiful. This guy does fine work, Colby. I don't know if you want to plug him or not, but
That's like the new starting lineup, right?
I
there.
will plug him because he also it is my buddy did this. Shout out to ECU grad, by the way, Adam Smith. He also did my Jeff Blake one. Folks, if you know,
he did App State. He reps the ops.
And look, I don't know, Weehawk, if you want that, I'm sure he could hook you up with Western Carolina as well,
There you go.
or JMU. He can get you a Scott Norwood one.
This son of
little one-bar face mask, maybe.
Damn right. Damn right.
South Alabama at App State. Patty, see your thoughts?
Well, I mean, am I going to be super?
These scores have been
thrilled
ass
with
whoopings, though, Nick. So the one time South Alabama got him was App State's first year in the FBS. South Alabama beat him 47-21. Since then, App State went there the next year to Mobile, won 34-27. That was a one-score game. But after that, 52-7, 30-3, and 31-7. Whoo! Will South Alabama score more than a touchdown in this game?
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised it's been that lopsided because South Bama's been pretty damn good the last couple of years.
That's true.
But they don't play every year. They don't play every year, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not only do they not, you're just trying to get App State on here. Let's be honest.
And
this
honestly,
game
but
sucks.
Well, it doesn't suck, and it's Thursday night by itself. Are you going to watch whatever game you played next, the whole game, like you're going to watch the whole game Thursday night?
That's true. I will be watching this game.
Oh, and how about that news of Jacksonville State hosting Coastal Carolina week 1 moved to Thursday night. So Thursday night now we got Colorado, North Dakota State, North Carolina,
Bison
Minnesota,
Fest and Cockfest,
and then the
North Carolina.
Then you got the real Cockfest. Oh yeah, that's right, Bison Fest and Cockfest.
Boom.
What are you doing? Yeah, I like it. I mean, I could play a couple of better ones, but I mean, I guess I'll have the opportunity to play those. Well, it's not that I want to say this is a real rivalry game. It's not. It's really not. But it's an introduction to me back to where it should be. My Buffs are hosting the Baylor Bears. All right. And this is an old Big 12 game. What are you talking about? This is an old Big 12 game here.
They played for a few years. It's not like they have a storied history.
First off, they played since the 50s. All right.
How many times?
And Colorado does have a 9-7 all-time lead.
Oh, 9-7. They've played 16 games.
Well, they were in the same conference. To me, it's familiarity though. Like when they're playing, like I don't get excited for this game as far as like historically, but it means we're home. We're back in the Big 12/Big 8 or whatever. It's the first game too. This is like the first game.
It's your first game as a Big 12 member again?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
All right.
So get your bullshit out of here. I will play these Big 12 schools, and every game, like we said, primetime is a tornado of attention.
Yeah.
So every game is appealing when you have the 4-toed head coach or whatever, but 3-toed, whatever. Your thoughts, Patty C?
I mean, look, I think a lot of people are, obviously the Shadur Sanders taking a shit on Xavier, whatever the guy's last Smith, who's a safety, calling him mid, right?
Well, hold on. Can I talk about that for a second? What happened is the Athletic dropped a piece about all the players that transferred.
Yeah.
And they got a bunch of them talk shit about Deion, saying that he didn't, get to know him and give them a real fair chance. Now that story was written by a Nebraska grad. So I think
it's not at all far fetched.
True, but it's also written by a Nebraska fucking grad.
Yeah. Also, you have to take that with a grain of salt.
How many players are on the roster? Does the head coach get to know like the third string DB? No. Nowhere in big time college football does that happen.
Well, and I mean, we just touched on Florida State. There's a bunch of these teams when you come and you send out your whole fucking team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
dude, before the transfer portal, it took our coach at JMU. I don't think he ever remembered my name. He was just like, hey, number 13.
Yeah.
Fuck you. Good play.
He didn't get to know me. He didn't give me a chance.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it honestly pissed me off a little bit, but like, whatever.
Well, get to know you. Play better.
Be better. Yeah. Make him get to know you.
Eat that burrito. Eat that fucking
Eat it in his face. Give him something to remember you by.
You know what? I work for a big corporation. The CEO of my company has no idea who the fuck I am. Okay. Am I crying to mommy and daddy?
What does he say at Christmas Vacation? He calls him not Griswold. He's like Greaseball or something like that, right? And then he says, it's little people like you who make the difference. Oh man, but I'm sorry. I think Baylor, Colorado is interesting. Nick,
I mean, the only thing that's saving you is Deion, Coach Prime. Because if it was without Coach Prime,
and the potential top pick in the NFL draft next year,
sure, that helps too. I mean, if it was a couple years ago and Coach Prime wasn't there, then this game would have Patty C snooze fest all over it. It would be one of those expansion games, which I am not really interested in. But to your point, Colby, Coach Prime brings eyeballs to everything he does, and every game they play is interesting. So I can't really argue against any game at this point. It's wide open.
All right, and the other thing is Baylor is what 3 years removed from a Sugar Bowl appearance, a number 5 finish in the nation under the coach they currently have. Yes, they've trended down both of the past 2 years, but I believe Baylor has come up in short order on several occasions over the past decade and a half. They could do it again. They have that athletic department is super rich and powerful at private school in Texas, and Colorado could take a huge step forward. This game could have Big 12 championship potential.
Well, at the same time, if we're talking, shit about it, then what's the total wins between these two teams? 7
this year?
Or no, last year. No, last year.
Okay.
Baylor won 3, Colorado won 4. Surprisingly, Colorado won more games than Baylor last year.
Well, yeah, Baylor's always a wild card.
So you have that against you. I actually think there's a better Big 12 game out there. It's on your graphic.
No, of course, but I think this one is more appealing to the masses. I think as far as for me too, as a Colorado fan, obviously, if Patty C's playing JMU in the 5th game,
like you say,
yeah,
you played ECU in the 6th.
Against the Flamin' Libs, the culture clash is sellable. You can sell it.
Let me ask you this: does primetime make Folsom Field a kind of primetime location now?
Definitely.
You think it changes Folsom Field itself? It's not just the team.
Folsom Field's always been one of the best stadiums in America.
But does it? Do people start to be like, oh shit, the game's at Folsom Field? That didn't happen last year, but maybe this year it does.
I don't know. I mean, you had everyone there, dude. You had fucking like Lil Wayne and fucking Terrell.
It was a great scene, but the name hadn't come back to where it was. Folsom Field, like you said, used to be a fucking intimidating place to play.
Yeah, it's coming.
It's coming.
We coming.
We'll see. We coming.
All right. Now
hold on. I mean, I guess Colorado had 2 home wins and 2 road wins, so it wasn't that much of a difference. So, okay, never mind. Go ahead, Colby.
Patty C, you're on the clock. Where are you taking us?
Got me flat-footed here. I'm just going to go to the top of the win total board and take a look there because there's usually pretty good games there. A couple that I'm interested lower than this, but there is upset potential here. But you said Miami, Ohio got rated. Right?
No, Ohio got rated.
Ohio got rated. All right. Well, then I'm going to play this one. Miami, Ohio goes to Notre Dame. I don't know. I mean, this week kind of sucks.
Actually, hold on. I can help sell this for you.
What else? What other game is
I can sell this for you. Chuck Martin, their head coach, former Notre Dame offensive coordinator under Brian Kelly.
Okay. Not that big of a selling point, but he tried.
Trying to help.
Look, what we're talking about is Miami, Ohio, who won the MAC last year.
Won the MAC, and Gabbert's back for his 75th year.
Notre Dame, who has had struggles against MAC teams frequently last year, even in the past few years, even in South Bend.
Lost to Marshall, also Sun Belt team, former MAC team.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Group of 5, Notre Dame is not immune to taking.
This would be one of the best wins of the season if this happened.
This would put Marcus Freeman on the hot seat, I think. And Miami, Ohio is good enough to go in there and get a win.
They're gonna put this on like Peacock though, so no one's gonna watch this fucking game. NC Nick, your thoughts on Miami, Ohio at Notre Dame?
It really wasn't on my list. I think Patty C is still going by the theory that he has to have at least one G5 team in every game he picks. He still tried to push that narrative.
Because I'm not TMZ Pat anymore, guys. I fucking changed. I changed.
Georgia
man.
Tech Louisville is fucking enthralling me.
Two bowl teams.
Yeah, and they had a fantastic game last year.
This week sucks. This week kind of sucks. All right.
Maybe Miami of Ohio keeps it close. I mean, Marshall won at Notre Dame a couple years ago, so maybe
Toledo should have won. Toledo blew a lead with like 30 seconds left, so maybe. Let's go.
I don't know. It's all we got left.
I like it.
And there's 17 more or 16 more we got to get through.
All right, folks. I want to tell you that you're listening to the College Football Experience, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast, and Sports Gambling Podcast Network. And it's playoff season. Yes, playoffs. That's right. Make sure to tune in all week to the NBA Gambling Podcast and the Hockey Gambling Podcast, which is our NHL podcast, for episodes to get you locked in on the exciting playoff action that's going on currently. Also, it's Derby week. So you know what that means, folks. Get on over, check out the Sports Gambling Podcast, tune in, and as the guys get ready for the most exciting 2 minutes in sports, check them out. The Sports Gambling Podcast and the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. All right, we are back on the College Football Experience, and NC Nick, you are on the clock.
Why not? Well, let's go to that Big 12 game, which I think is better than Baylor, Colorado. Kansas State at BYU. I realized BYU wasn't very good last year. They only won 5 games, but 4 of those games were at home. BYU in Provo is always dangerous. And Kansas State is one of those teams, a favorite to win the Big 12. They damn sure better watch out for this road trip here. And that's why, I think this game has more national implications in Baylor, Colorado. I think it's a fun game.
That's a good play.
It is. It's definitely arguable. But I'll say this: BYU got burnt by buying into Keaton Slovis. You should have known he would only play 3 games in every stop he's been in his life. All right.
Well, they like older, slow, unmobile white quarterbacks.
Well, that not. I don't know, because they went out in the portal. They got Jerry Bohannon, former Baylor and South Florida starting quarterback.
Well, Jaron Hall worked pretty well for him.
That's what I'm saying. All right. And they brought in Treson Bourget from Western Michigan and McKay Hillstead from Utah State. They just loaded up on quarterbacks.
A bunch of average or below average ones.
I like Bourgat. And Jerry Bohannon's been in college 30 years. So look, maybe he's the next Michael Penix. Maybe he's the 8th pick of the draft next year. They're 4-4 all time. So it's dead even. They've been playing since the 70s. That's Colorado Baylor's been playing since the 50s, and they used to be in the same conference. I think it adds a little more pizzazz than this one. But I still like that. I still like this game. I think it matters a lot, and I got no idea. I would favor, we favor K-State to probably play in the Big 12 championship according to those odds. I think it's a really tough spot for them to win, though.
I'm trying to find the win total all time between these two teams.
4-4 against each other.
Between where they stand on the all-time win. Which program would you say is a more
before Bill
program?
Snyder, BYU was certainly, but since Bill Snyder, I think Kansas State's been more established.
And I will say this also is a very good sandwich spot because before this game, Kansas State plays Arizona, and after they play Oklahoma State.
Woo!
So
tough 3 games there.
That's a sandwich spot.
Yeah. Patty, see your thoughts on this one?
It is a little dangerous. We mentioned who do we say? Oklahoma State, Utah, and obviously Kansas State. I would think it would be even higher on my list.
They got Avery Johnson. What you gotta do is you gotta make shots. All right. He has been, and Dylan Edwards, the running back from Colorado, just transferred to Kansas State.
They're always gonna be really very good. I think it's a pretty, even when they have like an off year and they're like 6-6, like they're still a threat to take down a big team. Kansas State.
Like I said, Petty, sorry to cut you off. Kansas State is tied with Utah, plus 350, best odds to win the Big 12.
To win the Big 12.
You know who's last? BYU, plus 12,000.
They're going to take it personally.
Last? BYU
Super
last?
Game.
No,
yeah,
BYU
that's
will bounce back. I actually think last year's team, they just whiffed on the quarterback. If you watch those games, they had no quarterback play.
Jaron Hall was gone
2 years ago. They had Slovis, and he got injured.
Yeah.
So
for a conference that we think is wide open, there's some juicy odds to win the Big 12 if you think they can beat Utah or Kansas State or somebody. And we've said it, Oklahoma State, West Virginia, BYU at plus 12,000.
Yeah, take it.
Yeah,
take that.
It's worth a sprinkle. It really is. I would even say like you go back. I don't know. I'm pulling it up right now. Their schedule. But they were in that Kansas game. That's the first one I think of. Was they were in?
They were in the Oklahoma game. Oklahoma visited them very late in the year.
Yes, they had such shitty quarterback play. That's what I'm saying. It killed them. They beat Arkansas at Arkansas. Yeah, this was their losses. They did get their ass whooped, like for a decent stretch there against
Cincinnati.
TCU,
did
Texas,
hand them that game too. That was fucking terrible.
Dude, all you gotta do is look at BYU's last 2 games.
Yeah,
they
Oklahoma and Oklahoma State.
Yeah, double overtime at Oklahoma State, the team that was in the Big 12 championship game. Granted, I didn't think that they didn't need to win that game. I think it was kind of a game where Oklahoma State might have already clinched, if I remember correctly.
Right. Yeah,
maybe.
you might have been right. Yeah.
But even Oklahoma, they lose by 7. That tells you that they are not too far off.
Yeah, I agree. And I like it. I think it's played correctly. It jumps. I'm drinking. It jumps over to me. And as much as I want to take you to there is a couple of intriguing games. I'm taking you to Auburn, Alabama. I like this matchup because, well, first, some of these games have been fucking chaotic. If you remember the bullshit time where Bo Nix spikes the ball and it's a fumble, and because the refs ruled it incomplete, it didn't count.
Yeah, and Auburn
and
got
Auburn
away with
ends
the win.
up winning.
Was that against Arkansas?
In this game.
Oh yeah.
Well, then also this. Do you guys know the history of Road Rash Face Bobby Petrino at Auburn?
Enlighten us.
Well, he was the OC, and he went behind the back of Tommy Tuberville and tried to get the head coaching job.
Road Rash Face went behind someone's back.
Yeah, surprise, surprise. I think it's there's something about this game that I actually like. I know, like, if you ask me, Colby, what are your favorite SEC matchups? You'll say, hey, Iron Bowl's number one, or Bama LSU, and obviously now that Texas and Oklahoma's in there, or Texas A&M. But like, if you ask me, like, what is the underrated one that no one? I'm like, Auburn and Arkansas. There's something about this game that is fun. Sam Pulled Pork Pittman.
No. XFL Jim's buddy.
Oh, Chase Sessoms.
Sessoms.
The Wolf of Oaklawn.
Yeah, subscribe to the Notorious OTB podcast for horse racing.
Great man, yeah. Chase has told us that, I don't know if it's secretly or outwardly that
this is the game that
Auburn gets under Arkansas's fans' skins more than any other team.
Yeah, there's something about them, and that's what makes the game.
Can I tell
fun.
you why? Maybe
why?
So in the last 8 games, Auburn is 7-1. There was the one Arkansas win, and then there was the 1 2-point win by Auburn, which
That's the one I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Where he kicks the field goal.
Right.
So he spikes the ball, he threw it behind him, and Arkansas recovers it. End of the game. But because the refs blew it as an incomplete pass, they couldn't overturn it.
They just
So then they got the field goal and they win.
Yeah.
Oh,
that was one of the worst games.
But the other 6 out of the last 8 have been Auburn wins by 38, 15, 31, 31, 32, and 53 points. These haven't even been good Auburn teams.
Some of that has been Chad Morris effect, though. They were so bad with him and John L. Smith, right?
True.
But if you go back to the Houston Nutt era, they were grabbing some wins. They were grabbing some wins. So
you gotta go back a little bit there. Lately, Auburn has dominated this series. And like I said, this hasn't even really been good Auburn teams.
That's true. That is ridiculous. Arkansas is a better team than that. Maybe Alabama just has, or Auburn rather, just has their number.
Why is it a fun game though? You guys, do you feel the same way?
Second-rate
this is
rivalries.
Yeah, it's a fun
second-rate rivalries are the most fun to me. They get the least press, but there's the most bad blood.
It seems like Nick doesn't like it as much as
I find it hard on a busy Saturday to tune in that much in this game.
I gotta watch this
because these are two middling programs.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what makes them fun. They're trying to get there, and each other is in each other's way.
Yeah, and they hate each other. There's anytime you have hate and animosity towards the other fan base, it makes it good.
Yeah.
So there's that.
And they're a bunch of rednecks.
Yeah. All right. Before I jump back to you, Patty C, I want to tell the folks out there that the college football experience is brought to you by Naira. Yes, bet the run for the roses with Naira Bet. Score big on the Kentucky Derby with a double dose of rewards. Sign up today for a free $25 bet and a $200 deposit bonus with the promo code SGPN25. Join now to claim your $25 free bet and a $200 deposit bonus at nairabets.com/SGPN25. Catch all the Triple Crown action on America's Day at the Races. Join now to claim your $25 free bet and $200 deposit bonus at nairabets.com/SGPN25. All right, we are back. Here we go. Patty C, you're on the clock. Where are you going?
I'm going to catch criticism with whatever game I choose here. I feel like, unless I have some genius pick that you guys somehow like, but I'm going to go with the game that is a little compelling to me. Mainly because I don't think these powerhouse states, play each other that often. We have Cal going to Florida State in an ACC matchup. Ridiculous, but I think Cal has a little potential, under the radar to give Florida State some trouble.
I will say that. I was thinking about this game, and I do find it absolutely ridiculous that they're in the same conference.
Yeah,
they've never played. But I did think in my head, I was like, if we're forecasting, like, where would you put this at? Like, as far as Cal, like, when you think about Florida State playing the rest of the ACC, not including the new teams, right? You say, I don't get excited for Wake Forest, Florida State. I don't get excited for it's Wake. I know Clawson had a decent stretch there beating them, but it still doesn't hit as like, oh, right.
Most of the ACC.
This is like an NC State, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Cal's like on the NC State level of like they could win that game.
Yeah,
I think NC State's above Cal's level. Cal has been 500 for forever.
But to me, they passed the test in the big games. They won at Ole Miss. I just talked about. They won at North Carolina. They won. So like they kind of show up in big games. They should have beat Auburn last year. They're weird, and I almost think the Pac-12 North, them getting out of the Pac-12 North, is very promising for the Cal.
Yeah, I almost guarantee you they give Florida State a hard time.
It's a weird matchup.
It's uniform porn.
NC Nick doesn't like it, I don't think, as an ACC guy.
I think this is well played because I do think it's an intriguing matchup. It's Cal's first ever matchup in the ACC. So they're not exactly easing their way into the conference. I mean, the first one ever is at Florida State, the defending champion, defending undefeated team. I will say undefeated.
Didn't they play at Auburn the week before too, or was that 2 weeks before?
It might have been last week.
Yeah,
you're right. They're giving them the SEC treatment toward their new schools.
Yeah, so at Auburn is, but they have San Diego State at home before that, so a tough little stretch here.
Yeah.
So Cal is at Auburn, San Diego State, then at Florida State. I think it's an interesting game because we want to see what Florida State looks like this year. We want to see Cal and what they look like in the ACC. It's not USC, Michigan, or Tennessee, Oklahoma.
Where would you put Cal as far as like the most physical teams in the ACC?
Yeah,
it's like Clemson, and Florida State would be like the two physical teams you think of, right?
But in terms of brand, Cal's probably one of the more physical brands.
Under Wilcox, they've been like a power run team for the most part.
Right.
So it's like the NC State level,
Virginia Tech level.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be fascinating to watch this game. I think it's correctly played.
Yeah, I agree.
NC Nick, it jumps to you.
Fuck it. If we're going to stay in the ACC, Patty C made fun of the game earlier, but Georgia Tech Louisville was actually a pretty entertaining game in the Friday night Week 1 season opener a year ago. We saw Georgia Tech went up early. You know, they were up 28-13 at the half.
I do
recall
a wild game. Talking some shit in the text messages to me.
We were
because you know I had the Louisville future, but it's still, you know, they did make it to the ACC championship. So you know,
and look, sleep on Georgia Tech all you want. People still don't respect them, but they finished 4th in the ACC last year. They whipped UCF in the bowl game. You know, people don't want to give them credit for that. So I think Georgia Tech Louisville is a pretty intriguing game here. I think both teams are pretty damn good.
How have they only played 3 times? That's crazy.
That is interesting.
But
Coastal versus Atlantic.
I'm just talking about even like the geographically, like in the non-con, even when they were in the CUSA or something. But yeah, I don't know. This is a snooze fest to me a little bit. But you know, if Key, like, do you believe Georgia Tech's actually good, or do you think that was just the schedule aligned? Because remember that Miami game where Cristobal gave them a win. Like, do you believe they're good?
Georgia Tech strikes me as a very typical ACC team, like UVA. You know, can lay a lemon and then beat North Carolina. You know, and kind of dominate.
I mean, they definitely had their, you know, they lost to Bowling Green at home, you know, but at the same time they beat Miami, they beat North Carolina, they beat UCF by 13 in the bowl game. I mean, what more do you want? You know, high variance, yes, but if they're playing good, and especially Haynes King, another year in that system, another year for the coach, what's his name, Key,
Brent Key,
yeah. I think Georgia Tech is quietly going underneath the radar. For him to finish 4th in the ACC in his first full year, that's a success. And I think they can build on their on what they did last year and be a kind of a surprise team this year.
All right. You're selling me a little bit.
Georgia Tech. I was looking at some random article about the scores of like public Ivies. You know, because obviously, what's going on at Columbia, Harvard, Yale? You know, people are less.
UCLA, what's happening?
Yeah, UCLA. They're one of the public Ivies, but people are looking for other schools. You know, that those things aren't happening. And if you want a super elite academic school, Georgia Tech is that. And I've heard that. But looking at the numbers, like holy shit! Like the average SAT is like 1,500. at Georgia Tech. It is a fucking elite academic school. So it makes it a typical ACC school with its limitations, but it's still in Atlanta. There's still a shit ton of talent in Georgia. I think Georgia's the fourth most talented state. Yeah. It's an interesting school, and it probably does have some high potential if they put it all together.
All right. I just feel like you guys are just loading me up with. Should I play it here? I'll play it. Okay, I'll play it. I'm taking you to. I'm taking you to Minneapolis.
Oh, I
do
fucking play.
Look, last year Iowa got robbed. Iowa should have been in the playoffs.
Getting bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Cooper DeJean got robbed. This is a rivalry. All right, it goes back to 1891. 118 games. This will be. So get the shit out of here. Like Iowa has owned them in Minneapolis. How about this? They have won 4 straight in Minneapolis, 5 of 6 in Minneapolis. Ferentz don't, and he's ticked off after last year's 12-10 win.
Well,
by
you know
Minnesota.
what also should piss him off is that PJ Fleck was just so cocky and smug, like, it's just the rules, obviously. Yeah. No one on the fucking Minnesota team, I don't even think Fleck himself understood that there was a flag until after the play.
Even the rules.
What's he supposed to say? We shouldn't have won. I mean, come on, man. You take it any way you can get it.
Still, he was very smug about his answer.
He's smug about everything. That's
true.
Ferentz has got
PJ
this
Fleck.
one circled. He's
true.
going in there. They got rid of the Greek rifle. They're going to get their ass whooped in a classic. I'm calling for this. Iowa 15, Minnesota 9.
Just a whooping. That is an Iowa ass whooping.
Right there. 15-9, getting it done.
Still one possession, but
Patty, see your thoughts. Your thoughts on my play?
No, it's lovely. I wanted to play this one earlier, and look, there's just something about this. There's
something great about difference.
Yeah,
I hate people that say they want everyone to be running air raid. This game's awesome.
It is beautiful.
Appreciate what it is,
and this is Big Ten football at its core. Michigan and Ohio State. I don't even think they represent Big Ten football anymore. They are a national brand. There's nothing regional about them. They get all their players from Florida, California, all over the place. Yeah. Minnesota and Iowa are still what Big Ten football was built on. It's beautiful.
Nick's a hater. He hates the Big Ten West.
Oh, I hate the Big Ten West. I know the Big Ten West doesn't exist anymore, but in my mind, this is Big Ten West football. But in all honesty, it probably deserves to be played right around here. I mean, look, I had money on Iowa last year in this game. So that bullshit call hurts me personally and in my pocketbook. Am I going to watch much of it? Probably not. But if it's close, you turn it on towards the end, see what's going on. Because what are you going to miss? You're going to miss a bunch of 3 and outs.
Well, let's be honest.
Great punting.
Yeah. Hold your tongue. Bite your tongue.
I was punter drops it on the 1 yard line every fucking time. It's one of the greatest. I actually think it's probably the most entertaining, top 10 most entertaining things to watch each year. Iowa's punter. All right.
You don't have a sense of humor if you don't enjoy Iowa football. Let's go, Nick. Come on. Let's be honest though. PJ Fleck and Minnesota were pretty good not that long ago. Could they turn around? They were a bowl team last year. Iowa obviously 10.
They were a 5-win bowl team last year though. They won that 6 game in the bowl.
Yeah. Okay. Either way, I still think Minnesota under Fleck has some serious potential, and I think Iowa with a harder schedule.
Iowa can get to the 12-team playoff. You laugh at this shit, but look at their schedule. We pulled it up.
Oh yeah, we talked about it.
Ohio State's the only for sure loss on that schedule because they go to Columbus. But every other game after that is winnable.
Iowa's schedule.
Yeah, Iowa.
Oh, I think this game actually could have a little bit of importance. So.
Yeah,
but I do think so. I mean, every week, maybe it's time for a new segment. We have the what the fuck game. We need a game to nap to.
This is not a nap game.
If you're gonna take a nap and miss the second and third quarter of this game, you're not gonna miss much.
See, he doesn't get it. He doesn't
get a good solid
with Nick.
solid 90-minute nap.
No,
and turn in for the fourth quarter.
No, this is great because you're gonna see great defensive play. Dude, all right.
if it's mid-second quarter and Iowa's up 6-3, you take a good hour and a half nap. You wake up and Iowa's up 13-10. You don't miss that much.
Yeah.
No, you do.
You're
you
fully
miss
informed about everything that's happening.
A lot of great, defensive plays with the tip pass, strip sacks. You know what I mean? Potentially some great special teams. You know what I mean?
Couple 2-yard gains.
Things that the game was built on.
True.
You know what I mean? Not this bullshit now. Everyone's running. All these fucking bullshit rules. You can't crack back block bullshit. You know what I mean? Iowa, Minnesota is to me, it deserves to be played. It's football.
A rite of fall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Patty C, you're on the phone. And Weehawk, Iowa's punter, the only punter drafted, by the way. So, yeah, talk your shit. Let's go.
That's right.
He's got his reps in.
Where are you going, buddy?
Couple games to pick from, but a game any game again I might catch flack from you guys on. I'm gonna go to Blacksburg, where the Rutgers Scarlet Knights are visiting the Virginia Tech Hokies. The Virginia Tech
that old
Hokies,
Big East matchup.
That's right. Hokies, a lot of teams closet dark horse favorite to be an ACC contender. Meanwhile, Shiano's been building it in Piscataway for a while.
They've been playing since 1920. 1920.
Rutgers got them last year. Blacksburg's a different situation.
They averaged over 7 yards a rush on them last year.
Oof. Yeah, they did whoop their ass. I think Virginia Tech gets revenge, and I expect the environment to be lit because I think Virginia Tech's schedule is easy. It's gonna be a fun game to watch a little bit.
NC
maybe.
Nah, you won't find any disagreement from me. I think Patty's played two solid games in a row here. I think this game belongs in this mix because the hype around Virginia Tech, the revenge angle. It's a solid game.
This is the Kramer Bowl. He left New Jersey to go to Blacksburg.
Conflicted.
That's right.
Conflicted Kramer Bowl.
Rutgers at Virginia Tech, I guess. I think there's better out there, but hey, these are probably going to be, I don't know, if Rutgers, are they going to be a bowl team? I don't fucking know.
I don't know if they're starting the Greek pellet gun. I don't know.
Yeah, you're taking the athletic. You're Shiano's saying, hey, let's not have an athletic quarterback. I don't know about this year for Rutgers.
They're like, let's be more like Iowa. Rutgers was Iowa last year.
Can we get Deacon Hill in the portal?
Listen, he might be onto something because without Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan in the division, he can take the Iowa route to a fucking 10-win season every year. Maybe Rutgers is about to come. By the way, Rutgers basketball, 2 of the top 4 prospects in the country.
Michael, getting it done.
What the fuck is going on there?
Let's go. They got that Danny DeVito money, man.
I guess so.
Right? Yeah. Okay. It jumps back to Dundee. And I'm taking you to. I hit on this game last week. I told you there's something cool about desert football.
Gotta love it.
Arizona State at Texas Tech. I think it's compelling. I know NC Nick hates this game.
What?
I think it's too. I
don't hate it. I just don't care about it.
But it's desert football. Like it's not. See, if they were playing Baylor, I would say it's boring. Arizona State Baylor would be more boring. Like Arizona State Texas Tech.
This is awesome.
I think it's great
because the Arizona they have been a brand of desert football that hasn't matched up with the Pac-12 on any level. USC and UCLA are California coastline football. Desert football, Arizona State is, and so is Texas Tech. This is like the first time
they could be eventual rivals. I'm hoping.
Yeah,
like
I like
down the road.
Dude, don't compare Lubbock and Tempe though. Like culture-wise, they're not alike at all.
No, I'm just saying they're both in the fucking desert, and
but
that's where
it ends. It's not like
it's just like a
they're
style
similar.
of football.
They're not similar where like a rivalry could be born. Granted, they might have they might not have a whole lot of rain in either university, but that's the end of their similarities.
Well, that's what I like about Arizona State and Arizona coming into the Big 12 is getting, not only the Big 12, but I'm saying getting them against Texas Tech. To me, every year, those 3, I think, could really develop something. We touched on this. I said I like Southern Utah. They're playing at UTEP. I like the desert teams going against each other.
I kind of disagree with what Nick's saying. I think that desert football, maybe because these teams have been in different conferences and haven't played each other, doesn't have an identity. And maybe I'm just full of shit right now, but I feel like there is. There is something a little bit different. Teams go down to Tempe and fucking lose.
That's true. The Big Ten, I think,
they're playing a different
brand. The Big
brand.
Ten has never won in Tempe. They've been like, look at that. They're like 0-15 in Tempe.
And
I think they're like probably distracted with all the plastic and silicon there.
That's what I'm saying. But you go down to, it's a tumbleweed bowl. This is a tumbleweed bowl. It's going to be great.
I like it. I'm not going to criticize.
This is better than Louisville, Georgia Tech.
No, it's not.
Oh my God.
I just told you, Louisville, Georgia Tech were 2 top 4 teams in their conference. Arizona State, especially with the recent transfers out, they may not be very good at all. And Texas Tech is,
I watched the NFL draft. I saw the 30 players for Arizona State that transferred out of Arizona State.
That got drafted.
All right, including the number 2 pick of the draft. Arizona State's always talented. You know who's not? Georgia Tech. They're not always talented.
Like Weehawk says, there's only 728 miles from Lubbock to Tempe. Okay, so good luck creating that regional rivalry.
No, I like it. I want them to get New Mexico and New Mexico State involved too. I want that to be.
Nick never watched Friday Night Lights. The long caravan of traveling cars from one location. Yeah. That's part of Southwest football, baby.
You go there. I'm telling you, they're gonna do peyote on the fucking. They're gonna come into town, do it on Thursday.
Maybe if back in the day I moved out to California with y'all, maybe I would appreciate it more. But from my point of view, it's a very I don't care about this game whatsoever.
All right, we're polishing it up a little bit, but there's some potential down the road.
Honestly, my eyes lit up when they joined. I was like, Arizona and Arizona State playing in Lubbock, and then them playing in Tucson or Tempe, both of them.
Yeah,
it's gonna be fun every time.
I like
it's gonna be fun every time.
Does 0 for me.
This guy hates the desert. Yeah. Who knew?
East Coast.
You won't CNC Nick at Burning Man.
No, you won't.
NC Nick, where are you taking it? Or no, Patty C, where are you taking us? Right?
Whose turn is it?
No. It's
did I just go ahead of Nick?
I think you skipped Nick. So Nick,
Sorry,
you're on the
clock. I'm a bitch. Well, you know what? Fuck you. I'm taking an ACC game, and I'm taking a weekday game. All right?
Oh my God,
no! I'm ACC Nick, and I'm weekday Nick.
This one, not
Stanford
this
at
one.
Syracuse. Granted, it's not the sexiest game in the world. If it was on Saturday, I wouldn't watch it whatsoever. But it's a Friday night game. It's Stanford's first ever ACC game, first ever matchup between these schools.
Sucks, dude.
Stanford, Syracuse.
They put this on television.
Let me see what the new coach for the Orange looks like at home, and let me see what Stanford looks like in a new conference, because I think they have a pretty high ceiling in a couple years or so.
Well,
granted, I should not mention Weehawk 728 miles from Lubbock to Tempe, because this one is greater than that.
This is probably the biggest in the
geographically far
in the nation
for a game that doesn't involve Hawaii as you can get.
Friday night, baby, by itself.
Syracuse. I will say this:
I
didn't know what to expect from Dan Lanning. He just seemed like the beneficiary of Georgia talent, but he is a fucking good coach in my opinion. From what I've seen,
I would agree.
And the guy that just went from Georgia up to Syracuse, I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Fran Brown.
Fran Brown. Maybe there is some serious coaching chops.
Well, he did bring in a bunch of Bama and Georgia guys. So.
And they're infusing
and Ohio
talent.
State, Kyle Honda McCord.
Yeah, that's a great pickup.
Yeah.
It's a great nickname.
Honda McCord, that's right. He was not that bad at Ohio State.
It wasn't that good either.
Wasn't that good, but it wasn't that bad.
I mean, he was given the keys to a fucking Lexus, a Corvette, and
yeah, kind of drove it off a cliff a little bit. No, what? But 11-1 didn't they go? I mean, maybe what? Yeah, they were 11-1.
So.
They lost. Yeah. It's not like he was a terrible fucking quarterback. And then Stanford, I think Troy. Was it
Taylor?
Troy Taylor could improve that team. I'm getting drunk over here. Look, again, Nick sees Stanford in the ACC, and all of a sudden they're a fucking super compelling team. If Stanford was still in the Pac-12, this would have never made a fucking list for Nick.
It's so by itself on a Friday night. I still have weekday. I still have weekday Nick here. Okay.
Yeah, that's true. That is a confounding factor there.
I'm hoping they put another Friday night game on, because I mean, look, we'll keep this on the TV, but it's in the dome. There's something horrible about watching games in that filthy fucking dome. Bring back Archibald Field.
By the way, there's not that many great games left either.
Yeah, little detail there.
There's a couple out there that are interesting. All right, Patty C. Now it goes to you.
Oh gosh, I mean these are shit games.
There's another. Well, I'll let you get to it.
Dude, I'm gonna play an FCS game.
What? What are you talking about?
Play UVA
Yeah, let me play UVA. UVA at Coastal Carolina.
because they're gonna lose.
Talk about culture clash. Talk
Yeah.
about culture clash.
Fucking
The guy who created Hooters.
pop collars
right?
against mullets
Yeah.
here.
Oh, this is great.
Did you guys see my tweet from last year when I said Jamie Chadwell, a picture of him at Coastal Carolina and a picture of him at Liberty? And I said, this is what happens when you move from Myrtle Beach to what's the town Liberty's in?
Lynchburg.
Lynchburg.
Virginia. Yeah.
That's that. If
Like,
I can,
yeah, did like the comb over.
yeah, if I can pat myself on my own back, that was a hell of a tweet.
That is nice.
That was.
Oh,
that
I'll
was
say
good.
this: his time at Lynchburg may not be grooming him for a UVA job from a culture standpoint, but from a physical appearance standpoint. You know, if
He shaved the mullet.
he looks ready for a UVA job right now, and if UVA loses this game to Coastal Carolina, you might see Jamie Chadwell, getting a phone call.
I actually think, call me crazy, I actually think Liberty's a better job than Virginia.
That's not that crazy.
This is great though. Can you picture these little? UVA doesn't have roadies, or they would, they won't come down to Conway. There's no way they're coming down to Myrtle Beach.
No.
They're losing this game, dude.
They're probably gonna lose.
They're
this
gonna
game.
lose this game.
If anybody from UVA goes to the beaches in North Carolina, they go to the Outer Banks.
Yeah,
They don't come down to
or
South
like
Carolina.
Hilton Head. And if they do, they go to like Hilton Head.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
One or the
There's gotta
other.
be
Not
golf
not
going on.
anywhere in between.
They're not into the putt.
I like Myrtle. Myrtle's like ECU at the beach, right? Anyway, they're gonna get fucked up. They're gonna get fucked up. Teal Turf's gonna get that dub. I like the game played there. NC Nick, it jumps back to you, buddy. I hopped ahead of you last time. So
All right, man. Let's just keep it in that same theme here. Duke at Middle Tennessee.
Johnny Red.
Look,
Jeez, this
both
week
teams
sucks.
both teams have new coaches. You always like to see a P4 out of G5 because you think upset potential. And last week it was the Big 12 playing all these G5 opponents on the road. This year, not quite as much, but the ACC has 3 of them. Let me know, guys. How many games do the ACC drop? You got Duke at Middle Tennessee, UVA at Coastal, Miami at USF.
This one's huge. This one's huge.
I say ACC goes 2-1.
I think they're probably well, this is the thing. Them getting Murphy, like who the fuck? I have no idea what Derek Mason's doing in Middle Tennessee.
Yeah.
So I think Duke's like.
I think
have to
Duke wins
favor
this.
Duke, yeah, by a decent amount.
Yeah.
But I definitely think Coastal's winning.
Yeah.
Devin,
Yeah.
you're that
USF.
sure? Dude, UVA was better than you thought last year, Colby.
Get this Virginia.
They got
bullshit
decent
outta here.
quarterbacks coming back.
I'm not
I'm not just-
100% sure, but I'm
and-
leaning Coastal here.
And Colby was hating on the Tim Beck hire.
Yeah, but still, look, you got to go down there. Like they're gonna feel uncomfortable the whole trip. Be staying at the fucking Ramada Inn down there. You know what I mean? Like it.
There's a type of game UVA
Used
loses.
condoms on the ground. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Anyway, yeah. I Duke Middle Tennessee. Duke has a 1-0 all-time lead. They should play more often. All right. I like any game.
It's a random game. It's
Any game at Johnny Red Floyd. I wish the ACC would make a deal saying we'll play one game at Johnny Red every year. All right. I've been to that stadium. I love Murfreesboro. Let's go. All right. All right. Now it jumps to me, and I've had enough of this nonsense with you guys hating on my games. You know, the Big Ten might have ruined the Pac-12, but Oregon State's going to ruin Purdue's chances here at a bowl. All right, because Purdue's heading to Corvallis. Get the fuck out of here with this. Oregon State, the chainsaw will be rocking. Reeser Stadium will be rocking. They finished everything. Purdue at Oregon State. Come on, Beavs. Let's get this done.
That's a solid play.
This is one that just needs to happen. And the win needs to happen. They need to have these wins. Can you imagine if Oregon, I mean, I don't think Oregon State's going to be able to beat Oregon because they lost everybody, but wouldn't it be great if they knocked off Oregon and Purdue?
2-0 against the Big Ten.
Yeah. NC Nick, are you a fan of this game? They've been playing this one since the '60s and it's 1-1 all time.
Well, it's the return game from the 2021 game where Purdue won at home 30-21. But obviously, a lot has happened in 3 years. So what Oregon State had Oregon the week before. Now they have Purdue at home.
Tough stretch.
I think they could win this one. Who knows what the hell Purdue looks like this year? So it's a decent game. I have a feeling this is going to be a late kick. I probably won't watch it, but solid game.
Anytime you get a game of research.
I thought you were going to mention the game that Weehawk says in the chat here. It's a previous Big Ten West game still floating out there, but somebody should probably play that one too, even though it probably won't be me.
I think this game's better than that because how many more times is a Power 5 going to go into Corvallis?
That's true.
I mean, yeah, that's true. They had a hard enough time going when it was a Power 5.
That's why you got to appreciate it. You got to appreciate it.
Oregon State going to take. I think they do get the win here, obviously, and make a statement. But DJU Martinez not walking through that door.
I wouldn't say obviously. I think it's a game. Who knows what Oregon State is going to look like?
Yeah,
they just lost so much. Even you add Martinez to the mix now. But all right, folks, I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. The NBA playoffs are here, and our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy, wants to make it a lot more interesting. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Playing their pick'em game is as simple as selecting a higher or lower on player stats like points, rebounds, assists, and much, much more, and make entries of all basketball. Or you can mix and match across other sports. I always think that's so great about them. You can win up to 100 times the amount of money you enter, and it's a ton of fun. Underdog's available in 30+ states, including California and Texas, and all of Canada can jump in on the fun too. So what are you doing? Make sure you sign up with the promo code TCESGPN. Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy. Promo code TCESGPN. All right, we are back. Who's on the clock here?
I believe I am.
Yeah. Where are you taking us, buddy?
And I will play the game. Just mentioned, was it Weehawk?
How shitty is that Northwestern Washington game, by the way?
It's shitty.
I mean, the fact that is number 2 on the win or
that's what I was talking about when I said yes, they give us USC Michigan, but like Stanford and Syracuse, and what was the other one?
Northwestern Washington.
Yeah, Northwestern
Washington combined for 22 wins last year.
Still sucks. It makes
those
me want to fall asleep.
On average 2 11-win teams. One of them was in the national championship, and yes, I agree with you. The game.
I have zero. That's honestly, I think I would rank that one of the worst games to watch.
And to Coley's point, last week, this one has like a very 10 p.m. Eastern time kick to it.
Yeah,
I bet you this one is not prime time. I bet you it's late.
This is who they fuck over. They fuck over Northwestern.
Yeah,
But Michigan, when Michigan plays at USC or UCLA, it'll be a early game.
It'll be 3 p.m.
There
East
is
Coast.
a good mid-major game out there.
Hold on. I think Patty C was about to take Illini,
I made
Nebraska.
the play. Wait, Illini, Nebraska? No, I'm taking the game. I think Weehawk just said Ohio going to Kentucky.
Woo!
Right?
That was the other guy. That was Timothy Green.
10-3 Ohio. Pretty solid. And Kentucky Stoops largely leaning on Ohio talent to build his, I guess, winning culture.
They schedule the shitty teams in the MAC. Now you could say this is one of the better teams in the MAC. I just did like a deep dive.
I guess there's nothing really compelling on a larger scale about
Ohio's whole team left. I touched on Jacoby Jones leaving for UCF.
Rourke, Bangura.
Their best
Rourke's gone.
Their best 2 defensive linemen. One of them, a 4-star transfer, just went to Colorado. They lost. Who was it? They lost another defensive lineman. They lost, I think, their tight end to Ohio State. Like they got fucking annihilated in the portal. But still, Ohio,
consecutive 10
reload,
seasons.
Baby.
That's right.
There you go, Tim Albin. I know that's your MAC school, Nick.
That's right. Go Bobcats.
Your thoughts on this one, Nick?
Look, I mean, Kentucky's played MAC schools close. Granted, you would like to see Ohio from last year or the year before with a more intact roster. So maybe it won't be all that close, but Kentucky's kind of reloading too, especially at quarterback and some other positions. So it has potential. Put it this way, I might take Ohio in the points. Okay.
The all-time series is 4-2. Like
in Kentucky's favor.
Yeah, but and they're 1-1 in their last 2. They've never played outside of Lexington, of course. So Ohio has 2 wins in Lexington by double digits.
Less than 3.5 hours
Both by double
apart.
digits. Let's go. All right. I'm starting to buy it more and more. Okay.
It's a decent game. What do you got?
NC Nick, where are you taking us?
You know what? Let's go back to G5 versus G5. If I told you one team in the last 3 years has 26 total wins, and they're playing another team that has 27 total wins in the last 3 years,
It's in Kentucky. Staying in Kentucky. You're staying in Kentucky.
Exactly. The Bluegrass State. Toledo at Western Kentucky.
I do like this game.
Prime candidate to please play on a weekday. Move this game up. But it's a great G5 matchup.
And remember, they almost left for the MAC. Remember, but Middle Tennessee nixed it. They've never played. How have they never played? Come on. Ohio touches Kentucky, Patty. See, we got a border battle.
Border battle. G5. What Conference USA versus MAC border battle?
Yeah,
I like it.
Could be a future MAC battle.
There you go.
I love this game. I can't believe they haven't played though. That's crazy to me. So,
wait, if Western Kentucky, I know it's been a couple years since I really dove in on them. I know they were throwing the ball around like crazy.
They're still
are.
Okay, and Toledo has always had a pretty high paced offense.
Yep.
If nothing else, you're going to tune in and see some fireworks.
I like it. I like it. And yeah, I think it's decently played here. I think it's decently played. There's a lot I like out there on the board. I will push back, guys. You know,
what pick is this?
This is Colby's second to last pick, and then we all have our last pick.
Well, we are going to one that is 115 years old. Yeah, sleeping on a little in-state battle. Tulane heading to Lafayette, Louisiana, to take on the Raging Cajuns.
I like it.
All right.
And look, last time they played, 2018. How the fuck has it been? Look, they should play every year. Let's be honest. All right. They played in a bowl game in 2018. Tulane did get the best of them. Willie Fritz and them won by 17. The game before that, though, was 4 overtime thriller in 2016, where Tulane won by 2. But prior to that, they're 2-2 in their last 4. But Tulane does have a 15-win all-time lead in the series. I like this game on the schedule. You put this on Thursday. You put this on Friday night. This destroys NC Nick's Syracuse game. All right. I love this game, actually. They should play this every fucking year. I know they're in other conferences, but who cares? Play this. Look, I know Louisiana likes to end the season with ULM. I like it like that. End the season with ULM. Give me this on Halloween every year. Tulane at Louisiana.
I like it.
Louisiana at Tulane. Let's go. Patty, see
Lafayette, Southern Louisiana as well, as is obviously Tulane and New Orleans. 2 hours and 8 minutes apart as far as
beautiful. This is a beautiful game
by Google Maps right
now.
Oh
yeah, let's go.
And let me tell you, this stadium it's underrated lit. Cajun Field gets underrated lit. And this game specifically, I bet, is going to be super lit.
Yeah, I mean, obviously LSU is the beating heart of Louisiana football, but these two are probably competing for that number 2 spot. And as far as like regional aspects of, I think LSU is pretty reliant on in-state talent still, but so they're not going to give that crown up. But I still think both of these teams are very, very Louisiana-esque. Cajuns, obviously.
I love this game.
Tulane with their New Orleans swagger.
And also, if there's a top 10 coaches like being on the hot seat, Daysor Mo is one of them. So there's one more reason why to watch.
If he goes 6, he played at Louisiana, so he might have a longer leash. So if he even goes 6-6 and underachieves this year, you win this game. They might say, "Hey, let's give him another year."
Yeah, this could buy him a little time. It could be if he gets it together. What is this, year 3 for him?
I think it's 4.
Is it year 4?
I think it's 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
If he finally gets it together this year.
No, it's 3.
Is it
Napier, because Napier's in year 3, right?
That's
right.
I
think so.
Yeah.
So year 3, maybe it clicks for him, and then Tulane losing Pratt, losing Willie Fritz. Maybe their ships passing each other.
Ooh, I like that.
And we could have a really good matchup here.
Let's go. NC Nick. I'm sorry. No, Patty C. You are back on the clock.
Oh boy.
Dude, you have to play your Bearcats, right?
Wait, who are they playing at? It's just so far down the list
It's
that
a
I didn't even
classic.
look at
What are
it.
you talking about?
Well, it was classic a couple years ago when they were in the AAC.
Houston at Cincinnati, buddy.
That's a good game.
This is a good game.
It was a couple years ago.
I'm not playing it though.
He's so out. Remember how hyped he was last year? Said the program will be fine. The program's gonna be fine, guys.
I'm just disgusted. I'm disgusted with it. I can't lie to myself. I've watched it.
There's a Power 5 matchup in Chestnut Hill that has NC Nick delighted, I'm sure.
I'm going with an
Not so
FCS. That is a good matchup. But for my last play, well, are we allowed to play an FCS versus FBS for an
Sure.
FCS?
Sure.
Play whatever the
All
fuck
right,
you want.
I'll save that one then. Yeah, fuck it. Bearcats versus the Cougars. I think both of these teams need this to go bowling. Both of these teams need to reestablish themselves as legit. Both of these teams have won 11 games within the past 2 or 3 years. So they're not maybe completely. Maybe just the move to the Big 12 was really painful, but maybe year 2 is a lot better. We'll see.
I like it. Houston at Cincinnati. It was a primetime AAC game. I think it could still be good, but I'm Big 12. I'm Big 12 Dundee. They say. NC Nick, you're a hater of the Big 12. You excited
Well, I
for this
mean,
one?
it's 4-8 versus 3-9 last year, so it's the equivalent of Virginia versus Wake Forest.
Except they produce talent.
No, not really.
Sam Hartman, by the way, didn't get drafted. So reminder to people
He's
like
he's a Notre Dame grad.
but I'm just saying to people like Jaden DeLora, who decided to forego his final 2 years of college football. He made $1 million last year at Notre Dame.
Right.
All right. And now he didn't get drafted. And I saw Jaden DeLora didn't get drafted. So I think,
I think his rookie contract that I saw was like $225,000 for Hartman.
I mean, yeah, Houston, Cincinnati. I think it could be good. I think it could be good. So NC Nick.
I'm not taking Illini, Nebraska. I'm not taking Northwestern Washington. Let's have a little bit more fun and say Charlotte at Indiana. Patty C's old coach against Colby's current coach.
We're trying to keep fans here, people. Charlotte at Indiana.
Biff Poggi's taking down those pussy JMU Dukes week 1. Right? He's taking down the Tar Heels, who are going to beat the JMU Dukes. He's taking down Gardner Webb, who's going to beat the JMU Dukes. And then Biff Poggi's going to beat the former JMU. So his excuse was, so if we had Kurt Signetti, no, Poggi's going to go through all of them. All right, let's go.
Like, I don't. Maybe nobody else in the country cares, but Charlotte's going to be must-watch football almost every week now, just because of this whole feud between you two.
Yes, they are, dude.
I don't even care about this. It's not a feud between us. It's like just Colby talking mindless shit.
You will after week 1. Biff Poggi beats the piss out of JMU. You're gonna sit there and say, "I hate this Biff Poggi
right now
guy."
that it is JMU by 3 scores.
Okay?
Let's do it. What do you want to bet?
Done deal.
3 shots.
All right,
3
done
shots.
deal. Done fucking
On
deal.
fucking air.
You just lost, buddy. You just lost.
21 points.
Right.
Is the push.
Yeah. NC Nick, your thoughts?
I picked the game.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Patty. See your thoughts. I guess he hates it. Yeah,
it's a shitty game. Charlotte
All right, wrap
Indiana.
this up, Colby.
Right,
you got one
go.
pick left. What is it?
Oh, let me play my music. What's going on with the spreadsheet, by the way? What was number 27?
I don't know. I fucking blanked on it. Tulane at Louisiana. That's what it was.
Okay. At number 30, look, I mean, get this shit out of here. You want me to play that Nebraska Illinois game, but that's one of these forced fucking games. I'm not doing it. And Northwestern Washington might as well not exist. All right, that game sucks too.
What about Florida Mississippi State?
That
still
is
out
the
there.
one. That's the
Yeah.
one. Yeah. Florida at Mississippi State. Every week with Napier's is must watch, because which week will he get fired? Will he get fired? And then I'm actually gonna be rooting for the Gators heavy in this one, because Jeff Lebby and his bullshit offense of the quarterback running up and sliding every fucking play. Go Gators! I hope you get them. But yeah, I think this game is it needs to be played. This should have been played earlier. Let's be honest. It's still fun in Stark Vegas. Come on, this place will be rocking.
Yeah, a little bit.
Nick, your thoughts?
It definitely should be played. But rooting for Florida, is that what you just said, Colby? That's crazy. No,
Jeff Lebby to me has destroyed football.
But I want Florida. I think college football is better when Florida is good because then I can really hate on Florida.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm rooting for Florida to get.
No. You want Florida to lose, so they fire their coach and get somebody who can make him good again.
No, not in this game. Not in this game. Lebby does.
I mean, let's be honest. I won't be watching. So.
I want Lebby out of football. All right,
man.
I mean, Florida. You're right. Florida they got to get an asshole coach, like Steve Spurrier, Urban Meyer. Made
what if
Florida?
big
Florida personality.
State.
I mean, like seriously. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Anyway, Patty C, you like that game?
Yeah, it's all right. It's the old what's his name? Fucking No Neck. Who's the coach that is still out there for some reason?
Lou Holtz, No Neck.
No, the guy who took Mississippi State to like number 2 in the nation, and then got the
Dan
Florida Mullen. There's a Mullen Bowl.
Mullen Bowl.
Right.
That's all right.
All right, we're out of here almost. But before we do that, we got the Lou Holtz What the Fuck game of the week, where it's the worst game. Why is this game on the schedule?
Let's rip these and hit our FCS games.
I don't got the rain man cold, but they're
Patty C, you're number 1.
5.
Penn State, Kent State. I think I saw. Easy peasy.
They play a lot, by the way. I was doing a deep dive on Penn State's non-con. Why do they play Kent State? I guess you have Ohio, Pennsylvania, though.
I think it's
Kent State. Kent State wasn't always that bad, too. I mean, that's a new thing.
Okay, yeah, that's true. The MAC does tend to be very cyclical, but still, the 1-win MAC team versus the 10-win Big Ten team, it's gonna be stupid.
It's a bad game.
It doesn't need to be
a bad game.
You just skip the game. Yeah.
All right, NC Nick, it jumps to you on the Lou Holtz. What the fuck game of the week?
Well, the rain man cold, but they're counting down 7-6-5.
Kurt Warner and Dedrick Ward might disagree, but Northern Iowa at Hawaii just seems very, very random. I probably won't tune in for that one.
Well, I actually think Northern Iowa keeps a decent program, though. It could
They
be
do.
a decent game. I like this game.
Very, very different cultures.
I like this game. I like this game on the schedule. I almost drafted this game. Tell you the truth.
The barn houses of Iowa.
Well, I mean, it's going to be
tiki huts of Hawaii.
And it's going to be the midnight kick. So if you're still up, you got standalone game.
I like this game. Patty, see your thoughts on it? You like it?
It's a fun contrast, but God, yeah, you talk about a game that is random as shit. This qualifies.
Well, mine will go to.
I don't get.
Look, until Temple wants to play football in a real stadium where like they don't have to pack, was it like 100,000, whatever the fuck that stadium is, at the link. I know Bowling Green at Texas A&M is close to that. That's the Elko Bowl. He coached
really
at both.
Bad.
But I think Utah State at Temple's worse because no one's going to be there. I think Utah State, like if Temple was playing at the MLS stadium,
it's a boring
at
game.
least like
let's just put it in the biggest stadium possible.
It's like, hey, you're trying to get Temple fans to the game. What do they care about Utah?
Yeah.
Right. And then like, it's just a stupid game. It's just a stupid game.
Give me an attendance prediction on that
Dude,
game.
that will be that's going to be like a ULF or UFL.
Over under 1,200 fans.
Under.
Under.
Nick, your thoughts on Utah State Temple?
Oh yeah, it's an awful game that makes no sense. It will be very boring. Agreed.
Bowling Green. I mean, I guess you could say maybe it'd be more like the score will be closer than Bowling Green A&M. But I thought Bowling Green A&M, at least Elko coached at both recently, so it's like there was a little bit of pizzazz there.
Little something. Bowling Green A&M, stretching it. That's stretching it.
All right, let's get to our FCS game of the week.
All right, I'm not going to waste much time. Villanova and Maryland. Villanova, a pretty consistent, high-level FCS team. Maryland, questionable. Close together, Philadelphia and Maryland. I like it. There's a little culture battle going on here. I don't know what it is. I think Villanova is a little uppity. Maryland's kind of thug.
You know, Delaware's jumping next year to the FBS. Should Villanova jump to the FBS, Patty C?
They should. They absolutely should.
Villanova and Delaware are longtime rivals too.
And Philly
rivals,
deserves a good team.
Yeah. NC Nick, your thoughts on Villanova, Maryland?
I know. Look, Philly against DC. I always like that. Sign me up. Little I-95 battle.
Yeah, buddy.
Where are you going with your second pick for FCS game of the week?
I think our guy Weehawk mentioned it earlier. Western Carolina at Montana.
Oh,
you got some mountains on the East Coast, got some mountains on the West Coast. Let's do it. Let's fucking mountain football. Fuck
this is
desert.
What I'm
fuck desert football. It's mountain football.
Amen.
But this is what I'm talking about by saying I call me crazy, guys. Call me, TMZ, or I'm sorry, not TMZ, but Hipster Colby. If this is on at the same time as Northwestern Washington, I think this is way better.
I don't think I would argue with that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's way fucking better. So
Western Carolina, though,
they're good.
Can they hang with Montana?
Kerwin Bell balling.
All right.
They're gonna lose to Montana, but I'm saying it'll be a fun game for a little bit. And Montana, Washington Grizzlies, awesome.
If Pat Fitzgerald was still coaching Northwestern, I'd push back. And I guess the dude did pretty well in year one, but still, Northwestern without Pat Fitzgerald is one of the most boring teams.
Boring game.
Yeah,
it's just a boring ass game.
Yeah.
All right, folks. That jumps over to Dundee. FCS play. I think Eastern Washington is live. I think Eastern Washington heads to Nevada. I like a little. This is a fun game. Eastern Washington's been. I mean, they've been a fucking powerhouse over the years. They have, I think, a few. They beat Washington State one year. They beat Colorado one year. They have proven that they have big, in big spots against FBS teams. They've beaten them. So Eastern Washington heading into Reno. Is this a future Mountain West game, Patty C? Could be. Eastern Washington definitely the type of program that should beat Nevada. I don't know. Nevada has had some good years too.
Idaho went in and won 30-36 last year, so there's no reason why. Yep, there's no reason why Eastern Washington can't do the same. I like the game on the schedule though. I do. Yeah, Western football, baby. Yeah, it's a good game on the schedule. You know what one we missed though? What's that? Holy Cross Yale. That is a fire game. That one would have been fun. A fire game. Yep. All right, folks, that's our show for this week. We'll be back for the Week 5 preview next week. Subscribe to the College Football Experience, also the FCS College Football Experience. Might have a little guest. I've been in talks with having a guest. He doesn't really. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Right. But former coach we might have on there, someone that built up a program that's still successful today. So you might have a little guest episode. Patty C's on Twitter at PattyC831. Give the guy a follow. Please tell him that Biff Poggi's coming. Say Biff is coming for you. Hey, anyone out there that wants to do 3 shots, we can fucking run it. But I need a video of you doing your shots. NC Nick is on Twitter at NC__NICK. Go check out his Duke basketball preview or look ahead. We did talk on the College Basketball Experience about the Duke Blue Devils and their crazy offseason so far. Check that out. And I'm on Twitter at DColbyD. Give me a follow. Check out all the other podcasts, the ULF gambling podcast. UFL gambling podcast, and the CFL gambling podcast. Check out those. Are hard. might have another surprise podcast coming too. In the meantime, though, get the SGPN app. Sports Gambling Podcast going to talk ULF in about 17 minutes. All right. So Sports Gambling Podcast coming up next, folks. Until next time, this is the College Football Experience. You better start thinking about yours. Biff Poggi's coming.